An entire corpse train is falling out of the sky. 6 black freight cars tear through the rusted support rails of Vare Hollow, spraying monster bones across the lower district like a savage white storm. Below them, thousands of workers run for cover. One man does not. Meet Korrin Voss, an F-rank corpse porter whose official job is to scrape dead creatures off dungeon platforms before the ash wind dissolves them. Right now, our guy stands directly beneath several hundred tons of falling steel with a broken shovel in one hand and a numbered body tag in the other. Talk about terrible career choices. The first freight car slams into the street. Stone explodes. Korrin throws himself behind a bone collection wagon as the impact crushes 3 warehouses and sends a wave of corpse dust rolling through the district. The second car lands sideways. Its containment seals rupture instantly. Human ribs spill out. Goblin skulls bounce across the pavement. The enormous spine of a siege ogre crashes through the roof of a tax office and pins 2 armored inspectors beneath a slab of black iron. People scream. Korrin watches. His gray work coat is torn at the shoulder. Blood runs from his temple, and his F-rank identification plate hangs crooked against his chest. Yet his eyes remain painfully calm. See, Vare Hollow is not a normal city. It is built around the Ossuary Tower, a colossal dungeon structure that produces monsters, relics, and enough corpses to support an entire economy. The wealthy control the living floors above. The poor process the dead below. Every corpse receives an ownership seal. Every bone carries a tax value. And raising an undead creature without a government permit is treated as theft from the city itself. Korrin knows this better than anyone. For 7 years, he carries bodies for licensed necromancers who never bother learning his name. He sorts femurs by species, cleans soul residue from skull cavities, and drags elite monster corpses into private elevators he is forbidden to enter. The work is brutal. The pay is embarrassing. The death rate is worse, but none of that bothers him nearly as much as the symbol carved into his wrist. A thin black circle. An empty class mark. Korrin awakened 6 months ago, but his system refuses to display a profession. The Registry Office labels him defective, assigns him an F-rank labor license, and sends him back to the corpse yards. No ceremony, no public laughter, just a stamp, a reduced food ration, and a lifetime sentence beneath the tower. Honestly, that is much colder. Another freight car breaks open above him. A rain of bones crashes into the alley. Korrin raises one arm over his head and feels something sharp cut across his palm. A fragment of black vertebra lands at his feet, still glowing with faint blue soul fire. That should be impossible. Soul fire normally dies within seconds of separation. This one flickers. Then it moves. The vertebra drags itself across the stones. A cracked skull follows. 2 thin wing bones scrape through the dust and connect with a series of dry clicks. Korrin narrows his eyes. The pieces assemble into something barely recognizable, a skeletal raven no larger than his forearm. One wing is missing half its feathers of bone. Its beak is split down the center. A rusted registration ring hangs around one leg. The creature tries to stand. It immediately collapses. Pathetic. Still, it turns its empty eye sockets toward Korrin. The class mark on his wrist burns. A system alert flashes across his vision. Compatible corpse detected. Unregistered skeletal construct. Ownership seal destroyed. Korrin freezes for exactly half a second. Then another message burns through the first. Hidden condition satisfied. Direct contact with ownerless remains confirmed. Dormant class awakened necromancer. F rank. Our necromancer does not smile. He looks at the broken raven. The raven looks back. A third alert appears. Beginner skill acquired. Raise skeleton. Successful summons grant experience based on the original corpse grade. That is standard. Even low-level necromancers know it. A 4th line appears beneath it. Experience multiplier detected 10,000 times. Now his expression changes. Not much. Just enough for the coldness in his eyes to sharpen. The skeletal raven twitches. Korrin kneels and places 2 fingers against its cracked skull. Black energy leaks from his class mark. It does not explode with dramatic light. It crawls quietly across the bones, filling every fracture with thin threads of shadow. The raven rises. A system alert flashes instantly, skeleton raised successfully. Base experience gained. 1 point. Then the multiplier activates. 10,000 experience crashes into Korrin at once. His entire body locks. Heat tears through his muscles. His bones feel as if they are being broken, reforged, and shoved back beneath his skin. The alley bends around him as level notifications flood his vision faster than he can read them. Level 2. Level 3. Level 4. The numbers keep climbing. By the time the surge ends, our guy is on one knee with blood running from his nose. The Raven stands on his shoulder. Korrin's level has jumped from 1 to 13. From one skeleton, a completely broken skeleton. Yeah. This is where the situation becomes ridiculous. The average F-rank awakener needs weeks to reach level 13. They clear rat nests, hunt bone mites, and risk their lives for scraps of experience. Korrin touches a damaged bird and skips the entire process. But he does not celebrate. He tests. The Necromancer reaches toward a nearby goblin hand and activates Ray's skeleton again. Nothing happens. A system notice explains the failure insufficient structural completeness. Minimum bone integrity, not met. Useful. He reaches toward a full goblin corpse trapped beneath a steel beam. Black threads spread from his fingers. The corpse shudders. Its flesh collapses into gray ash while the bones pull themselves free. Snapping into place with brutal precision, a goblin skeleton crawls from beneath the wreckage and kneels. Another experienced surge hits him. This one is larger. Korrin's level climbs again. 14. 15. 16. His mana capacity expands so violently that the lamps along the alley flicker. The Raven grips his shoulder harder. Korrin studies the goblin skeleton. Its ribs are uneven. One arm is longer than the other. A shard of iron remains, lodged in its skull. Weak. Slow. Obedient. Perfect. He sends a silent command through the new soul link. The goblin skeleton stands. Korrin orders it to lift the steel beam. It fails. He orders the Raven to peck the iron wedge beneath the beam. The bird hops down, tilts its damaged skull, and strikes the exact pressure point. The wedge slips. The beam shifts. The goblin skeleton lifts again. This time, the trapped corpse slides free. Our Necromancer watches both minions without a word. The Raven does not possess human intelligence, but it understands angles, pressure, movement. It is not strong. It is useful. That matters more. A horn suddenly screams through the district. Not a rescue horn. A confiscation horn. Workers stop running. Even the injured go silent. 6 armored officers march through the corpse dust with hooked spears and silver masks. Behind them walks a tall woman in a flawless white coat, untouched by the destruction around her. Neris Quell, senior auditor of the Corpse Allocation Bureau. She controls ownership disputes in the lower district, which means she decides who gets paid, who gets arrested, and which dead bodies legally belong to the city. 2 inspectors remain trapped beneath the ogre's spine less than 50 feet away. Neris does not even look at them. Instead, she raises a crystal ledger and surveys the scattered bones. All remains within the impact zone are now state property. She announces, unauthorized contact will be prosecuted as corpse theft. A porter points toward the crushed tax office. People are still alive under there. Neris turns one page in her ledger. Recovery personnel will arrive after inventory. The porter stares at her. She marks his identification number. Interference recorded. That shuts everyone up. Korrin stands in the alley shadow while his 2 skeletons crouch behind the overturned wagon. The goblin's bones are already losing their glow. His summon is unstable. A system notice confirms the reason beginner Ray's skeleton can maintain only 2 active units. Additional intelligence and endurance increase capacity. Good. A limitation means the skill has rules. Rules can be exploited. Neris approaches the broken freight car. Beside her walks Captain Brannick Seeley, commander of the Black Hook Enforcement Unit. He is a massive man with plated arms and a red execution cord wrapped around his neck. Brannick spots movement near Korrin's alley. His helmet turns. Something raised in there. Neris finally looks interested. Licensed. No registered necromancer is assigned to this block. The captain draws his hooked spear, Korrin immediately dismisses the goblin skeleton. Its bones collapse into an ordinary pile. The experience remains. Interesting. The raven does not collapse. Instead, it folds itself beneath Korrin's coat and hooks its claws into the fabric along his back. Smart enough to hide. Even better. Brannock enters the alley. His boots crush finger bones beneath them. Korrin steps away from the corpse pile and lowers his head like any exhausted porter would. His breathing slows. His shoulders sag. The performance is effortless. Men like Brannock see what rank plates tell them to see. The captain glances at Korrin's F-rank badge and instantly loses interest. What happened? A containment seal ruptured. Did anything move? Korrin points toward the goblin bones. The beam shifted. Brannock studies him. For a moment, the alley feels painfully still. Then the raven's broken beak scratches softly against the inside of Korrin's coat. The captain's eyes narrow. Korrin coughs and lets blood spill from his mouth. It is real blood. That helps. Brannock looks at the wound on his head. The shattered wagon. And the useless shovel. An injured F-rank porter. Nothing more. He turns away. Report all intact remains to the bureau. Korrin nods. The captain stops after one step, and if an illegal necromancer raised even a single state-owned bone, Director Salvek will hang every worker in this block until someone gives up a name. There it is. Director Salvek Rhyme. The man who controls the city's corpse supply. Licensed necromancers pay him for bodies. Guilds pay him for elite remains. Even the tower's military pays him for battlefield access. And down here, people disappear whenever his ledgers fail to balance. Brannock leaves. Korrin remains still until the sound of the armored boots fades. Then the raven crawls from beneath his coat and returns to his shoulder. Its soul flame is weaker now. Korrin checks the system. The bird's status appears in his vision: unnamed skeletal scavenger. Damaged. Low grade. Evolution unavailable. Below that sits another line. Bonded unit. Dismissal prohibited until core destruction. So the raven is different. Not merely raised. Bound. Korrin touches the rusted ring around its leg. A faded serial number remains visible. The number belongs to freight car 7. There are only 6 freight cars in the street. Our guy looks up. Far above the lower district, a severed section of rail swings in the wind. Fresh claw marks cut through the metal. The train did not derail because of age. Something ripped it loose. Something strong enough to tear through reinforced tower steel. Neris Quell knows it. Brannock Sile probably knows it. And neither of them cares about the dead workers. They care about the missing freight car. Korrin walks toward the edge of the impact crater. Inside lies a mountain of mixed remains human soldiers. Tower beasts. Failed summons. And at least one elite creature large enough to have iron fused into its bones. Hundreds of possible skeletons. Maybe thousands. Each one worth 10,000 times its normal experience. The system displays his current capacity: 2 active summons. Korrin raises the goblin again. Experience does not appear. A message confirms the restriction: experience reward granted only on the first successful raising of each unique skeletal core. So he cannot farm the same corpse forever. Fair enough. The district contains more bodies than he could raise in a lifetime. But there is another problem. The Bureau will inventory everything before nightfall. Once a new ownership seal is applied, his skill will identify the bones as state property. Using them becomes detectable. Korrin looks at the black clouds gathering above the tower. The ash wind arrives at midnight. Unsealed corpses will dissolve. The Bureau cannot process this many remains before then. Not unless the workers do it for them. Neris is already shouting orders outside. Every porter is commanded to sort the bones into marked wagons. Anyone who leaves the district loses a month of rations. Exactly as expected, the Bureau has just gathered every ownerless skeleton in one place and ordered Korrin to touch them. Talk about administrative efficiency. Our necromancer walks back into the open street. Neris sees his damaged badge and throws a bundle of blank corpse tags at his chest. F rank. Eastern Crater. Record every intact core. Korrin catches the tags. How many? All of them. She turns away before he answers. The raven remains hidden beneath his coat. Perfectly still. Korrin picks up his broken shovel. Around him, hundreds of frightened workers begin dragging bones from the wreckage. Armed officers guard every exit. Bureau crystals scan the streets from above. A reckless man would start raising skeletons immediately. A desperate man would run. Korrin does neither. He studies the wagons, the ownership seals, the ash wind gauges, the blind angles between the scanning crystals. Then he notices a drainage gate beneath the eastern crater wide enough for bones, too narrow for a person, and connected directly to the abandoned catacombs below the city. His eyes grow cold. The broken raven taps once against his ribs. Korrin steps into the crater, drives his shovel beneath the first intact skeleton, and quietly changes the direction of the entire pile. Not toward the bureau wagons, toward the drain. The first skeleton disappears into the drain without making a sound. Korrin slides a cracked human ribcage beneath the iron grate, waits for the nearest scanning crystal to turn, then pushes the rest through with the heel of his boot. Above him, workers fill bureau wagons with obvious remains. Below him, the city's dead begin to pile up. The eastern crater becomes his private furnace. Every few minutes, our guy drags another intact skeleton toward the sorting line, attaches a blank tag, and records it as structurally incomplete. The damaged pieces go into the official wagon. The complete cores go beneath the street. Simple, boring, painfully effective. The skeletal raven watches from inside his coat, occasionally tapping against his ribs whenever an officer turns toward him. It has no voice, but its timing is already disturbingly precise. Korrin does not reward it. Not yet. He keeps working until the Bureau's crystal bell marks the second evening interval. By then, 137 intact skeletal cores rest in the abandoned drainage chamber below. The city owns none of them. The ash wind has not touched them, and no scanner can see through 12 feet of corpse-soaked stone. A system notice flickers across Korrin's vision, hidden storage condition recognized. Ownerless remains preserved. Our Necromancer glances at the grate. The system is learning his methods. That could become useful. It could also become dangerous. He files the thought away. Neris Quell stalks between the wagons, checking inventory seals with increasing irritation. Her white coat now carries a single streak of corpse dust. And judging by her expression, that is apparently the greatest tragedy in the district. Eastern crater count. Korrin hands her the ledger strip. 212 partial remains, 43 intact. Neris compares the numbers to the weight crystal. The total mass matches. Of course it does. Korrin does not remove bones from the official count. He replaces intact cores with equivalent fragments from the shattered freight cars. Weight remains constant. Species distribution remains believable. The Bureau receives exactly what it expects. Trash. Neris studies his face. You processed that crater alone, yes. An F-rank porter. The others avoided the soul residue. She glances toward the black stains covering his gloves. That part is true. The crater contains enough lingering death energy to make ordinary workers vomit. Korrin's new class absorbs the pressure instead. Neris mistakes resistance for exhaustion. Even better, she signs the ledger. Report tomorrow before dawn. Freight car 7 remains missing. Korrin lowers his head. Understood. The auditor walks away. Brannock Siley remains behind. The captain grips his hooked spear and watches the drain for several seconds. His helmet hides his face, but suspicion hangs around him like iron smoke. Korrin does not move. The raven does not tap. Finally, Brannock drives the spearhead through the grate. Metal screams. The weapon plunges into the darkness below, missing the hidden bone pile by less than an arm's length. The captain twists the hook. Nothing catches. He pulls it free. Rats. Brannock mutters. Korrin looks at the bloodless spearhead. Big ones. The captain stares at him. Then he laughs once. A low, ugly sound. Careful. Porter. Humor can raise a man's rank just high enough to get him killed. He leaves. Korrin waits until the Black Hook officers march beyond the collapsed tax office. Then he picks up his shovel and goes home. At least, that is what the Bureau thinks. Our guy enters a worker barracks, crosses the communal washroom, and exits through a broken ventilation shaft behind the furnace wall. His coat turns inside out. The gray porter uniform becomes black soot cloth. His rank plate goes into his boot. The Raven climbs onto his shoulder. Together, they descend. The lower drains of Vare Hollow are older than the current city. Their walls come from the first excavation era, when the Ossuary Tower still releases monsters without warning and half the district lives underground. Most passages are sealed. Korrin knows which ones are not. 7 years of corpse hauling teaches a man more than muscle memory. It teaches him where blood flows, where inspectors refuse to walk, where discarded bodies vanish before dawn. The eastern chamber lies beneath a collapsed shrine. Hidden behind a wall of hardened marrow, Korrin removes 3 loose bricks and squeezes through. Bones cover the floor. Human, goblin, beast, tower-bred hybrids. 137 intact cores. The skeletal raven hops from his shoulder and lands atop a horned skull. Korrin closes the entrance. Then he begins. He touches the first human skeleton. Black threads crawl from his fingers. The corpse rises. 10,000 times the normal experience floods into him. His level jumps. He dismisses the skeleton immediately. The bones fall. Korrin touches the next one. Another surge. Another level. Then another. And another. The chamber fills with the sound of bones standing and collapsing in rapid succession. No chance. No glowing ritual circles. Just ruthless repetition. Raise. Gain. Dismiss. Move. By the 10th skeleton, Korrin's hands shake. By the 20th, his muscles tear beneath the skin and heal before the blood reaches the floor. By the 30th, the system stops announcing every level individually and begins compressing the results into brutal bursts. 10 levels gained. 8 levels gained. 12 levels gained. His class remains F rank. His body does not. Our Necromancer reaches level 90 before the first hour ends. That should be impossible. An F rank class normally hits a hard limit around level 30. Korrin does not. The multiplier does more than accelerate growth. It crushes through the expected ceiling as though the ceiling never existed. A new alert flashes: attribute overflow detected. Class rank insufficient to contain accumulated growth. Then another line appears. Temporary solution applied. Excess experience converted into grave marks. Korrin's eyes narrow. A black symbol forms beneath his class mark. One grave mark, then another, then dozens. The system explains the mechanism in cold fragments. Each grave mark stores compressed experience. Grave marks may strengthen summons, reinforce skills, or force class evolution when conditions are met. Now the cheat becomes clearer. He is not simply leveling faster. Every skeleton becomes fuel. Levels fill his body. Overflow fills the mark. The mark can fill anything he raises. Talk about an industrial-scale nightmare. Korrin touches the 41st corpse. This one belonged to a horned tower hound. Its skeleton rises on 4 crooked legs. The system grants a larger reward. His grave marks increase by 6. Different corpses produce different yields. He begins sorting. Human laborer skeletons grant the least. Goblin scouts grant slightly more. Tower beasts grant several times the amount. Elite fragments pulse with compressed soul residue, but refuse to rise because their cores are incomplete. Korrin records every result mentally. He does not rush. A broken system is still a system, and systems punish stupidity. By the time he reaches the final intact corpse, his level sits at 173. His grave mark count reaches 481. His active summon capacity increases from 2 to 36. His mana pool becomes so dense that every loose tooth in the chamber rattles. The last corpse lies beneath the bone pile, a small creature, Avian. Its skeleton is almost identical to the raven on his shoulder, except both wings remain intact and a silver needle is fused through its sternum. Korrin touches it. Nothing happens. A system alert appears: skeletal core occupied by foreign command seal. Someone has already claimed it. The raven lowers its head toward the dead bird. Its blue soul flame flickers. Korrin examines the silver needle. The mark engraved along its side belongs to the Corpse Allocation Bureau. Not a public seal, a private one. Director-level authorization. Freight Car 7 carried pre-bound skeletons. Unregistered ones. That means Salvek Rhyme is moving illegal undead through his own city. The missing freight car is not lost inventory. It is evidence. Korrin pulls the silver needle free. The dead bird convulses. A trace of red energy lashes toward his hand. The raven strikes first. Its cracked beak snaps shut around the red thread and tears it apart. The backlash throws the creature across the chamber. It hits the wall. One wing breaks loose. Korrin catches the foreign seal before it can dissolve. The system reacts instantly. Hostile control fragment absorbed by bonded unit. The raven's status changes. Damaged skeletal scavenger becomes skeletal cipher raven. A thin silver line spreads across its skull. Its detached wing drags itself over the floor and reconnects. New ability acquired: seal sense. The bonded unit can detect ownership marks, command threads, and false registration signatures. That is not strength. It is better. Information. Korrin lifts the raven onto his forearm. The creature balances awkwardly, then lowers its head. Not pride. Not affection. Recognition. Our necromancer spends 3 grave marks on its damaged wing. Bone thickens. The fractures seal. The bird's soul flame burns brighter. Another system line appears: reinforcement successful. Bonded unit stability increased, so grave marks can upgrade individual summons. Korrin looks around the chamber. 36 active slots. Hundreds of stored marks. 137 tested corpses. He raises the strongest 35. Goblin skeletons assemble beside human workers. Tower hounds crawl free. A long-limbed marsh beast rises with its neck bent at an impossible angle. The raven takes the final slot. Korrin sends a command. The skeletons begin digging, not randomly. He divides them into teams. 4 widen the chamber. 6 reinforce the walls with discarded ribs. 8 open a tunnel toward the western catacombs. The rest sort bones by species. Core quality and soul residue. The work moves slowly at first. Then grave marks begin fixing the worst structural defects. A missing hand grows from spare finger bones. A cracked femur fuses with black marrow. A tower hound receives iron claws taken from the freight wreckage. Korrin does not waste marks on appearance. Every upgrade serves a purpose. Digging, carrying, guarding, tracking. By midnight, the hidden chamber becomes something else. Not an army. Not yet. A factory. The ash wind howls above the city. Unsealed corpses dissolve in the streets. Exactly as expected, the Bureau loses everything it failed to process. Korrin loses nothing. The system recognizes the preserved chamber as a temporary necromantic workshop. A new skill unlocks Bone Ledger. Any skeletal core touched by Korrin receives an invisible record only he can read: species, integrity, prior ownership, remaining soul value, and raising history. He tests it on the dead Bureau raven. Foreign command seal. Director authorization. Shipment classification hidden. Destination unknown. Korrin glances at his bonded bird. The cipher raven hops onto the corpse and taps the silver needle lying nearby. Once, then twice. The needle carries a second signature beneath the director's seal. Neris Quell. Interesting, the auditor knows. Maybe she helps move the shipment. Maybe she altered the ledger afterward. Either way, she has just become useful. Morning arrives without sunlight. Vale Hollow never receives much of it. The tower blocks the eastern sky, and corpse smoke covers the rest. Korrin returns to the Bureau district wearing his porter coat and F-rank plate. His body now contains enough mana to crush the scanning crystal at the gate. He suppresses nearly all of it. The system assists after a single command output restriction active. Visible signature reduced to F-rank threshold. That feature is convenient. Too convenient. Korrin suspects the system expects concealment. He enters the allocation yard. Neris stands beside a long inspection table covered with bone fragments from the wreck. Brannick watches workers unload the last wagon. Director Salvek Rime arrives minutes later. He is thinner than Korrin expects, a narrow man in a dark green coat, with polished bone buttons and 4 rings made from different monster teeth. No guards surround him. He does not need them. Every licensed necromancer in the district depends on his approval. Salvek picks up a broken skull. 7 freight cars departed the upper station. Neris keeps her voice flat. 6 reached the lower line, and the 7th detached before impact. Brannick points toward the western support rail. Claw damage. Salvek turns the skull in his hand. From outside the train, yes. The director smiles faintly. That smile never reaches his eyes. So something wanted the cargo. Korrin keeps sorting bones 10 paces away. The Raven hides beneath the roof beams. Watching through a crack in the smoke vents, Salvek drops the skull. What did the workers see? Nothing useful. Neris says, the porter assigned to the eastern crater processed the highest residue concentration. Her gaze shifts. Directly to Korrin. Bring him. 2 officers seize his arms. Our guy lets them. They drag him before the director. Salvek looks at the F-rank plate first. Then the stained gloves. Then the symbol hidden beneath Korrin's sleeve. The director reaches toward his wrist. The Raven taps once against the roof. Warning. Korrin rotates his hand as if nervous, keeping the class mark beneath the cuff. Salvek notices the movement. Afraid. Yes. A perfect answer. Not brave. Not clever. Exactly what an F-rank porter should say. Salvek gestures toward the freight remains. Did any corpse move? Korrin hesitates. Just long enough. Brannick's hand tightens around his spear. Neris watches his face. Korrin looks toward the shattered goblin bones. 1. The yard goes silent. Salvek leans closer. What moved? A hand. Raised, I do not know. Did it attack? No. Where is it? Korrin points to a sealed evidence box. Inside lies the goblin hand he deliberately placed there before leaving the crater. The fingers remain curled. Black residue stains the wrist. Salvek opens the box. The Cypher Raven watches from above. Korrin feels the bonded unit's new ability activate through the soul link. Seal sense floods his mind with invisible threads. Neris's signature rests on the evidence box. Brannick's signature rests on the chain of custody. Salvek's private command mark rests on the goblin hand. All 3. Exactly where Korrin needs them. The hand carries no real undead core. He removed it. What remains is a harmless fragment painted with residue taken from the pre-bound Raven. Salvek studies the stain and reaches the wrong conclusion. The cargo seal ruptured. Neris's expression tightens. Brannick looks toward the upper rail. The director closes the box. There may be active units from Freight Car 7 loose in the lower district. There it is. The bait enters the water. Korrin lowers his gaze to hide the cold satisfaction in his eyes. Salvek turns to Neris. Lock down the catacombs. She nods. To recover the shipment, to destroy whatever escaped before the Tower Authority learns it existed. Brannick frowns. We do not know where they went. Salvek taps the false residue on the goblin hand. They are drawn to death energy. Search the abandoned corpse tunnels beneath the Eastern District. Exactly where Korrin wants them. Not his real chamber. The older tunnels beyond it. Empty passages filled with unstable graves. Collapsed seals. And enough ambient soul residue to hide any signal. Korrin prepared them before dawn. He sends 6 skeletons west. They drag broken bones through the mud. They leave claw marks. They smear foreign residue across 3 tunnel entrances. By midday, the Black Hook unit finds the trail. Brannick reports immediately. Salvek believes it. Neris verifies the signatures. She believes it too. The entire bureau begins shifting men, crystals, and sealed wagons toward the false escape route. Meanwhile, no one watches the eastern drain. No one questions the missing weight. No one notices 35 skeletons expanding a hidden workshop beneath their feet. The trap looks convincing because every piece comes from the Bureau's own illegal cargo. Their seal, their residue, their fear. Korrin returns to work. Neris throws another ledger bundle onto his table. You are assigned to the Eastern Crater for the next 7 days. He looks at her. Why residual contamination? She lowers her voice. And because Director Salvek wants someone expendable near the impact site, Korrin nods as though the answer frightens him. Inside the soul link, the Cypher Raven detects the command seal stitched beneath her glove. A duplicate control thread. Neris is not merely helping Salvek. She possesses her own access to Freight Car 7. She plans to take something from him. Our Necromancer turns back to the ledger. Understood. The auditor walks away. Above the yard, the Raven slips through the smoke vent and follows her. Its strengthened wing makes no sound. Korrin raises one hand over the next pile of discarded bones. The Bureau thinks it has placed an F-rank porter beside contaminated evidence. The Black Hook unit thinks it is hunting escaped undead. Salvek thinks he is erasing a smuggling mistake. Neris thinks she can steal the missing cargo before her director finds it. Every last one of them is moving exactly where the false trail leads. Beneath the street, another tunnel opens. The skeletal workers break through into an untouched ossuary packed from floor to ceiling with forgotten corpses. Thousands of them. The system alert reaches Korrin through the workshop, mark massive ownerless bone deposit discovered. His expression remains tired. His shoulders remain bent. His hands continue sorting bureau trash. Only his eyes change. Deep below, 35 skeletons kneel before an ocean of bones. And the F-rank Necromancer quietly raises his shovel. The ocean of bones moves before Korrin gives a single command. Thousands of skulls turn at once. Not toward the skeletal workers. Toward the eastern wall, something is breathing behind it. The hidden ossuary falls completely silent. Korrin stands inside the allocation yard several streets above. But the workshop mark carries every vibration directly into his mind. 35 minions freeze around the newly opened chamber. The cipher raven circles once beneath the ceiling. Its silver-lined skull tilts. Seal sense activates. A foreign command thread pulses beyond the wall. Not Salvek's. Not Neris's. Older. Much older. A system warning flashes across Korrin's vision. Dormant necromantic authority detected. Territorial claim unstable. Our necromancer lowers the bone fragment in his hand. That is inconvenient. He cannot leave the yard. Neris watches from the inspection balcony. Brannick stands beside the eastern gate, and 6 Tower Authority examiners have just arrived to investigate the wreck. The timing is absolutely savage. Korrin sends a command through the workshop mark. Do not break the wall. The skeletons step back. The breathing stops. For 3 seconds, nothing happens. Then the entire eastern wall caves inward. A massive bone hand punches through the ossuary. 5 skeletal workers disappear beneath the rubble. The remaining minions scatter as a creature drags itself from the darkness. It was once a burial guardian. Now, it is something worse. The monster has the upper body of a giant and the lower body of a centipede. With dozens of human spines forming its legs, iron burial plates cover its chest. 7 skulls grow from its shoulders, each carved with a different command seal. One central skull burns with deep purple fire. The system identifies it immediately. Ossuary Warden. Corrupted Elite. Estimated rank C. Korrin's public classification remains F. His active skeletons are mostly F-rank remains. His strongest unit is a damaged bird. Talk about a balanced first battle. The Warden swings one enormous arm. 8 skeletons shatter. Their soul links vanish instantly. Korrin feels each destruction as a cold snap behind his eyes. No experience returns. No bones answer his command. The creature's burial plates do more than protect it. They sever necromantic control on impact. That changes the fight. Korrin's expression remains blank. Inside, every calculation shifts. The Warden crushes another tower hound beneath its palm. Stage 1 begins brutally. Our guy receives the blow. He does not counter. He does not flood the chamber with fresh summons. Instead, the remaining minions retreat through the narrow tunnel while the Warden tears apart the workshop he builds overnight. Walls collapse. Bone shelves scatter. Sorted cores crack beneath its spine legs. Every loss costs potential experience. Every second matters. Yet Korrin still waits. Above ground, Director Salvek steps onto the allocation platform. The yard workers immediately lower their heads. The director is accompanied by 3 licensed necromancers in dark blue coats. Silver rank plates hang from their collars. C rank. Each one could legally erase an entire lower district work crew and call it contamination control. Salvek addresses the Tower Authority examiners with a polished smile. The derailment is unfortunate, but the Bureau has contained all residual activity. Deep below, the Warden slams both fists into the floor. The impact travels upward. The allocation tables tremble. A clerk drops a ledger. One examiner looks down. What was that? Salvek does not blink. Foundation settling. Korrin keeps sorting bones. Another tremor hits. This one cracks the yard's eastern wall. Brannick turns toward the floor. Neris's gloved hand tightens around the railing. She feels it too. The corrupted warden is climbing. If it reaches the surface, the hidden ossuary becomes public. Korrin's workshop disappears. His class may follow. Worse, the warden's foreign authority can expose every skeleton he has raised. He has minutes, maybe less. The Necromancer looks toward the corpse furnace. A row of waste carts waits beside it. One cart holds incomplete animal remains. Another carries sealed human fragments. The final cart contains the shattered bones recovered from Freight Car 7. Korrin lifts the handles. "Where are you taking that?" a bureau clerk asks. "Furnace." It was not scheduled. Korrin points toward the cracked wall. Contaminated foundation. The clerk looks at the tremor, then at the F-rank plate. Responsibility terrifies him more than rule-breaking. Go. Exactly. Korrin pushes the cart through the rear corridor. The Cypher Raven leaves the underground chamber and races upward through the drain shafts. Its soul link sends fragments of vision into his mind. The warden turns badly. Its right side drags. 3 spine legs are fused together. The central skull rotates before every attack. The shoulder skulls do not. Interesting. Korrin reaches the furnace room and locks the door behind him. Then he drops through the ash chute. The fall lasts 4 seconds. He lands on a pile of powdered bone while the Raven dives beside him. The hidden tunnels shake. Korrin does not head toward the workshop. He moves sideways. Toward the old shrine chamber, the warden roars underground. Its 7 skulls speak with 7 overlapping voices. Thief. The word travels through every corpse core in the tunnels. Several stored skeletons begin crawling toward it. Not raised. Called. The creature is asserting ownership over the ossuary. Korrin understands the mechanism now. The warden does not control individual bones. It controls the burial ground itself. Any corpse resting within its territory becomes part of its authority. That is why direct summoning will fail. That is why shattered minions cannot be reclaimed. The battlefield belongs to the enemy. Stage 2 begins. Our Necromancer reads the monster. He sends 3 disposable skeletons into the main tunnel from different directions. The first attacks the left flank. The warden crushes it instantly. The second strikes from behind. One shoulder skull turns and releases a purple pulse. The skeleton collapses before contact. The third stays still. The warden ignores it. Korrin sends the Raven overhead. The bird crosses above the central skull. All 7 heads track it. There. The shoulder skulls act as sensory relays. The central skull distributes commands. The burial plates carry authority into the ground. Break the relay. Interrupt the command. Steal the territory. Simple in theory. Painfully difficult in practice. Korrin reaches the shrine chamber. An ancient altar stands beneath the collapsed ceiling. Its stone surface is carved with concentric burial rings. He noticed them the night before. At the time, they looked decorative. Now Bone Ledger identifies their true purpose territory anchor. First excavation era. Inactive. The warden's authority flows through an anchor somewhere in the ossuary. This altar is not that anchor, but it uses the same language. Korrin places both hands against the stone. 478 grave marks remain. He spends 50. Black light pours into the rings. Nothing happens. He spends another 50. The altar cracks. A system warning appears: insufficient authority to claim territory. Korrin spends 100 more. The class mark on his wrist burns through his sleeve. The burial rings ignite. A new skill forms inside his vision: grave resonance. It allows the Necromancer to synchronize nearby skeletal cores through a shared pulse. Within the pulse, bones may transmit force, commands, and necromantic pressure between one another. The range is pathetic. The mana cost is ridiculous. The potential is not. Korrin activates it. Every loose bone in the shrine chamber vibrates. The effect spreads 30 feet, then 40, then stops. Too small. The warden remains several tunnels away. Our guy looks toward the cart chute above. Thousands of broken fragments line the drainage route between him and the monster. Bones do not need to stand. They only need to resonate. He sends a single pulse into the floor. A rib beside the altar shakes. The next bone answers. Then another. The vibration travels through the tunnel like a whisper passed from corpse to corpse. The range limitation applies to each connected core. not the entire chain. Korrin's eyes sharpen. There is the loophole. The warden reaches the outer workshop. Its enormous hand tears through the final defensive wall. Beyond it lies the drainage tunnel leading directly beneath the allocation yard. Workers scream above as the floor splits. Brannick orders the Black Hook unit into formation. 000X 3 Necromancers summon armored skeletons across the courtyard. Neris says nothing. She stares at the eastern drain. The hidden command seal beneath her glove is glowing. The warden recognizes her. That is why it climbs. Korrin finally understands. Freight Car 7 did not transport random illegal units. It carried pieces stolen from the warden's territory. Neris touched those pieces. The monster follows her signature. The false trail never lured the warden. Her own greed did. The creature punches through the last layer of stone. Purple fire spills into the yard. One massive skull emerges beneath the allocation platform. 000X's smile disappears. The Tower Authority examiners step back. Neris turns to run. Too late. The warden rises. Its spine legs rip through the pavement. Workers scatter as the creature towers over the bureau yard. Burial plates grinding across its chest. The 7 skulls speak again. Return. Neris raises her marked glove. I do not have it. The central skull opens its jaws. A purple command beam strikes the balcony. Stone evaporates. Neris falls through the smoke. Brannick catches her by the coat and drags her behind a pillar. The Bureau Necromancers attack. 30 armored skeletons charge together. The warden slams its palm into the ground. One authority pulse wipes out every summon. 000X's men turn white. Korrin climbs from the furnace hatch among the fleeing workers. He keeps his mana suppressed. He keeps his posture bent. No one sees the black line spreading beneath his boots. Grave resonance has reached the yard. Every discarded fragment vibrates. Every wagon rattles. Every corpse tag trembles against its string. Stage 3 begins. The Necromancer opens fire. Not with an army. With one command. Kneel. The resonance pulse travels through thousands of bones and strikes the warden's spine legs from below. The monster's right side collapses. Its fused limbs buckle. The central skull turns downward. The Cipher Raven dives. It does not attack the eyes. There are none. It strikes the silver ownership seal hidden behind the third shoulder skull. Its reinforced beak cracks the metal. Seal sense shows Korrin the thread. Grave resonance carries his command through the raven's body. Break. The seal explodes. One shoulder skull goes dark. The warden's left arm freezes. No one in the yard understands what happened. They only see a skeletal bird flash past the monster's head. Brannick sees more. His helmet follows the raven. 000X's eyes narrow. Korrin sends a second pulse. The bones beneath the warden's feet rise only a few inches. Not enough to form skeletons. Enough to lock between the spine legs. The monster stumbles. A licensed necromancer screams an order and sends his surviving elite guard forward. The warden grabs it. Korrin watches the central skull rotate. Half a second. That is the rhythm. The raven circles. The creature tracks it. Korrin activates grave resonance a third time. Every bone in the yard releases stored vibration at once. The impact is not large. It is precise. 7 simultaneous shocks strike the 7 neck joints. The shoulder skulls snap backward. The central skull loses its relays. For the first time, the warden's burial authority flickers. Korrin raises one hidden skeleton beneath the broken platform. A simple human frame. No armor. No visible power. It reaches through a crack and pulls the anchor spike from the warden's abdomen. The entire monster locks. That spike contains its territorial claim. Without it, the ossuary no longer recognizes a master. The system reacts hostile burial authority disrupted. Corpse ownership neutralized. Now every bone belongs to no one. Korrin's class mark burns. He activates Ray's skeleton on the warden itself. The skill cannot claim a living undead core, but it can touch the thousands of corpses fused into its lower body. Black threads spread through the monster's spine legs, one by one. Those stolen skeletons reject the warden's command. Its own body tears itself apart. The creature roars. Brannick staggers backward. 000X finally looks afraid. Korrin remains among the workers. One hand hidden inside his torn coat. No one sees him controlling the collapse. Almost no one. Neris looks directly at him. Her face goes still. She cannot see the mana. She can see the timing. The raven lands atop the warden's central skull. Its beak hooks beneath the final command seal. The monster tries to raise one arm. The stolen skeletons hold it down. The bird pulls. The seal tears free. Purple fire erupts from the skull. The cipher raven crushes the metal between its beak. The warden's soul flame dies. Companion finisher. Clean. Decisive. Absolutely humiliating. The gigantic body collapses across the yard. Silence follows. Then the system floods Korrin's vision. Elite undead core defeated. First time soul claim available. Territorial authority fragment absorbed. Experience multiplier applied. The surge nearly drops him. His level leaps beyond 200. Hundreds of grave marks ignite across his wrist. His summon capacity expands to 84. Bone ledger evolves. Raise skeleton gains a new branch, reclaim fallen. Any minion destroyed within his resonance field may be rebuilt if its core remains intact. There is the real prize. Korrin absorbs the warden's remaining soul fragments quietly through the bones beneath the yard. He cannot raise the entire elite corpse here. Too visible. So he takes it apart. 7 shoulder skulls become command relays. The spine legs become reinforced workers. The burial plates enter his hidden workshop through the drainage cracks. The central skull remains on the surface. A trophy for the Bureau. A lie for everyone else. 000X steps toward the corpse. What killed it? One of his necromancers looks around wildly. My guard weakened the core. Brannick points toward the raven disappearing across the rooftops. That bird removed the seal. Neris rises behind the broken pillar. Blood runs from her mouth. A wild summon 000X studies the sky. No wild summon understands command seals. His gaze sweeps across the workers. Korrin coughs into his sleeve. His F-rank plate hangs crooked. His face looks pale from the experience surge. The perfect picture of weakness. A Tower Authority examiner approaches the corpse. Someone used a necromantic field. 000X turns sharply. What rank? The examiner kneels and touches the trembling bones. Unknown. Rumors begin before the blood dries. A hidden necromancer beneath Vare Hollow. A ghost controller who steals undead from their masters. A skeletal raven that hunts command seals. By nightfall, workers call the figure the Grave Whisperer. Korrin hates the name. The raven seems indifferent. Deep below, the rebuilt workshop expands into the captured ossuary. 79 skeletons sort the newly claimed dead. 4 reinforced spine constructs guard the tunnels. 7 command skulls hang along the walls, silently extending grave resonance farther than before. The cipher raven lands beside Korrin as he enters through the shrine passage. He places the stolen final seal on the altar. The bird taps it once. A faint map appears inside the metal. Freight Car 7's destination is marked beneath the Ossuary Tower, a restricted floor, controlled by 000X rhyme. And beside the destination sits another symbol, a countdown. 3 days remain until the next shipment. Korrin looks across the thousands of ownerless skeletons waiting in the dark. The Bureau believes an unknown necromancer saved the yard. 000X believes that Necromancer is hunting his cargo. Neris suspects the truth but cannot expose Korrin without exposing herself. Brannick has seen the Raven, and the Tower Authority now knows a power outside its registry exists beneath the city. Our Necromancer raises one hand. 84 skeletons kneel. The remaining corpses wait their turn. He does not need all of them active. He only needs to raise each one once. The first skull rises. 10,000 times the experience pours in. Then the second follows. Then the third. Far above, the city argues over the identity of the Grave Whisperer. Deep below, an F-rank porter begins processing an entire forgotten graveyard. 10,000 skeletons do not become an army. They become a logistics problem. Korrin learns this before sunrise. The forgotten ossuary beneath Vare Hollow stretches farther than the Bureau maps suggest. Its main chamber alone contains enough bones to bury the entire lower district twice over. Side tunnels branch into sealed crypts, abandoned furnace pits, and storage vaults left behind by the city's first corpse merchants. Every chamber carries a different danger. Rotting command seals, Unstable soul residue, burial traps, hungry things that never received names. Our Necromancer does not charge forward. He organizes. First come the workers. Korrin raises low-grade human skeletons one by one, claims the 10,000-fold experience, then dismisses most of them after Bone Ledger records their cores. Only the strongest frames remain active. Next come the carriers. Goblin skeletons receive reinforced joints and wide bone baskets fixed across their backs. Tower hounds gain iron claws for tunnel movement. Long-limbed marsh beasts become wall crawlers, carrying command lines across ceilings no human worker can reach. Then come the guards. 4 spine constructs made from the fallen warden anchor the main passages. Their bodies are grotesque columns of fused vertebrae, each controlled through one of the stolen relay skulls. They do not patrol. They listen. Every vibration in the tunnels travels through them and enters Korrin's grave resonance field. By the end of the first day, the hidden ossuary stops behaving like a grave. It behaves like a machine. Bones move in measured lines. Damaged cores enter repair pits. Useful fragments enter labeled alcoves. Soul residue drains through carved channels into sealed jars. Nothing is wasted. Not a finger. Not a tooth. Not a single trace of experience. The system recognizes the expansion temporary necromantic workshop upgraded to ossuary domain. Lowest tier. A new interface settles behind Korrin's vision. Domain capacity. Stored cores. Active labor units. Territorial stability. It looks almost like a city ledger. That suits him perfectly. Korrin spends no grave marks on decoration. He spends them on walls, tunnels, and control range. Grave resonance spreads through the first ossuary, then the shrine chamber, then the eastern drains. 7 relay skulls extend the field farther with every hour. Soon, our guy can stand inside the bureau yard and feel a skeleton drop a femur 3 streets below. Talk about uncomfortable management efficiency. The cipher raven changes too. It begins by mapping. The bird flies through smoke vents, broken chimneys, and corpse shafts, tracing ownership seals no human eye can see. Every private mark in Vare Hollow becomes a thread of light through its soul link. 000X seals burn green. Neris's burn white. Brannick's enforcement marks pulse red. The Tower Authority uses gold. By the second night, the Raven can identify who owns a corpse before the body stops bleeding. Useful becomes invaluable. Korrin invests 30 grave marks into its wings. The hollow bones darken. Silver lines spread from the skull into every feather-like blade. He invests another 50 into the fractured beak. The crack seals with black crystal. The Raven grows larger. Not massively. It still fits on his shoulder. But its presence changes. Low-grade soul flame compresses into 2 narrow blue points. Its movements lose their clumsy pauses. Every landing becomes precise. Every turn becomes deliberate. The system confirms the transformation bonded unit advanced to elite grade. Cipher Carrion Raven. New functions unlock. Seal mimicry. Residue memory. Silent relay. The bird can now copy a command signature after observing it long enough. It can remember the residue of any corpse shipment it touches, and it can carry grave resonance through open air without producing a visible mana trail. That last ability is completely absurd. Korrin tests it with a loose skull 3 tunnels away. The Raven lands beside the skull. Korrin sends a pulse. The skull rolls exactly 1 inch. No direct bone chain connects them. No one above senses the command. The bird does not celebrate. It flies to the next test point before Korrin gives the order. A small change, but clear. The Raven no longer waits to be used. It anticipates function, companion growth. Stage 2. Cold. Silent. Reliable. Korrin places 1 finger against its reinforced skull. The Raven remains still for a moment. Then it taps the black class mark on his wrist. Once. Recognition again. Not affection. Something stronger. Purpose. Above them. Vare Hollow begins eating the bait. 000X pours men into the abandoned western catacombs. The false trail Korrin creates from Freight Car 7 residue leads through 3 collapsed burial routes, past 2 old plague vaults, and into a sealed district beneath the western wall. Every mark looks real. because every mark is real. The residue comes from 000X cargo. The claw patterns come from the warden. The ownership threads come from the Bureau's own stolen undead. Korrin invents nothing. He simply arranges the truth into the wrong conclusion. Brannick leads the first recovery squad. 40 Black Hook officers enter the catacombs with containment chains, bone lanterns, and 2 licensed necromancers. They find signs of movement, broken restraints, scratched walls, scattered pieces from the stolen shipment. They also find a chamber holding 12 apparently dormant skeletons marked with 000X private seal. The units are not from Freight Car 7. Korrin builds them from discarded bones and brands them using the Raven's seal mimicry. The difference is microscopic. Brannick does not see it. His necromancers do not see it. Neris might. That is why she is not invited. 000X receives the report before midnight. 12 units recovered. Foreign interference confirmed. More escaped constructs believed deeper inside. The director's fear turns into greed almost immediately. If the missing cargo still exists, he can reclaim it. If the unknown Grave Whisperer has gathered additional undead around it, 000X can seize those too. He doubles the search force, then triples it. More officers enter the western tunnels. More containment wagons leave the Bureau yard. More command crystals disappear from secure storage. Every resource moving west leaves the eastern district empty. Exactly as planned, Korrin expands beneath it. The ossuary workers break into a forgotten corpse railway running parallel to the tower foundations. The tracks remain intact beneath the rust. Within hours, skeleton teams repair 3 transport carts. By the next evening, bone shipments move underground without passing through public drains. The hidden domain gains a spine. The corpse railway connects the eastern ossuary to 2 abandoned furnace stations and a collapsed guild crypt. Each location becomes a new node. The furnace station processes unstable remains. The guild crypt stores elite cores. The original workshop handles repair and command. Korrin now controls 3 underground facilities. No banners, no throne, no speeches. Just infrastructure. That is what power looks like before anyone notices it. His numbers climb. 84 active units become 120, then 160. His level pushes beyond 300. But the visible signature beneath his suppression remains F rank. Grave marks accumulate faster than he spends them. 2,000, then 3, then 5. The system finally stops treating them as temporary overflow and creates a permanent grave vault inside his class mark. Stored experience becomes a resource he can move between himself, his skills, and his minions. He tests it carefully. 10 marks reinforce a skeleton's bones. 20 sharpen its movement. 50 improve a low-grade core. Hundreds threaten to force evolution. Korrin does not waste hundreds blindly. He creates categories: labor frames, scout frames, assault frames, relay frames, recovery frames. Every unit receives a function before it receives power. Meanwhile, the city's corpse economy begins changing without understanding why. Ownerless remains vanish before Bureau collectors arrive. Illegal dump sites become empty overnight. Monster bones disappear from blocked alleys. Even battlefield scraps beneath the lower gates are clean before dawn. Workers start whispering that the Grave Whisperer collects every abandoned corpse. Licensed necromancers grow nervous. The price of low-grade skeletons rises. 000X grows furious. He assumes the unknown necromancer is starving the market to force a confrontation. Our guy is not. He simply needs the experience. Still, the result helps. 000X begins purchasing corpses from private guilds at ridiculous prices. He stores them inside Bureau warehouses, planning to bait the Grave Whisperer into attacking. Korrin never touches the warehouses. He watches the director drain his own treasury instead. Pure greed does the rest. Neris notices first. She enters 000X's office after midnight with 3 altered ledgers beneath her coat. The cipher raven follows through the ceiling vents. Korrin sees the meeting through its eyes. 000X stands before a wall map covered with red marks. Each mark represents a search team in the western catacombs. Too many. Far too many. Neris places the ledgers on his desk. You have committed nearly half the Bureau's reserve funds. 000X does not turn. The shipment is worth more. The shipment is compromised. The warden is destroyed by someone we cannot identify. Salvek finally looks at her. Then we identify him. Neris's jaw tightens. The field in the yard did not come from the western tunnels. Silence. There it is. The first real suspicion. Salvek walks toward her. Explain. The residue pattern begins beneath the allocation yard. Foundation contamination. No. She opens one ledger. 3 weight discrepancies appear in the eastern crater records. Korrin watches through the raven. The discrepancies are intentional. Tiny. Too small for an ordinary audit. Large enough for Neris. She points to the first mark. 43 intact remains were recorded. Second mark. The furnace received 38. Third, the ash count supports 36. Salvek studies the figures. 7 skeletons. At minimum. Stolen moved. By whom Neris does not answer. Her eyes shift toward the ceiling. The raven remains motionless inside the smoke duct. She cannot see it. But she feels something. Korrin sends no command. The bird acts on its own. It lifts one claw and scratches the inside of the vent on the far side of the room. Neris spins. Salvek follows the sound. The raven uses silent relay. A second scratch echoes behind the wall map. Then beneath the floor. Then inside the corridor. 3 impossible locations. Neris's suspicion splits. Exactly what the raven intends. The bird creates uncertainty without exposing itself. Elite intelligence. Korrin approves. Salvek closes the ledger. The Grave Whisperer entered the yard during the derailment. Possibly. And used the porter crews. Possibly. Then question them. Neris hesitates. That hesitation saves lives for now. Salvek notices. You object. The Tower Authority is still investigating. Mass arrests draw attention. Then do not arrest them. His smile returns. Reclassify them as contaminated. Neris goes still. In Vare Hollow, contaminated workers do not receive trials. They receive furnace tags. Salvek taps the Eastern District on the map. Seal the barracks tomorrow night. Korrin's eyes cool. The trap is moving faster than expected. Not broken. Just shifting. Neris gathers the ledgers. I will handle it. Salvek catches her wrist. His thumb presses against the glove, hiding her duplicate command seal. You will handle exactly what I tell you. For 1 second, her face reveals pure hatred. Then it disappears. The director releases her. Find the missing 7 skeletons. She leaves. The raven follows. Outside, Neris enters a private records chamber and locks the door. She removes her glove. The stolen seal beneath it glows white. Then she takes out a small black vertebra, the same material as the bonded raven's original core. A fragment from Freight Car 7. She has hidden it from Salvek. The bone pulses toward the east, toward Korrin's domain. Neris finally understands part of the truth. The cargo is not in the western catacombs. At least one piece is somewhere beneath the eastern district. But instead of reporting it, she smiles. Greed wins. She marks 3 new tunnel locations on a private map and burns the official ledger page. Then she sends an unsigned message to Brannock. Search the Western Plague Vault personally. Do not inform the director. Korrin watches the paper leave through a courier slot. Interesting. Neris wants Brannock out of the east. She plans to search alone. That places her exactly where the next layer of the trap requires. Our Necromancer redirects 6 relay skeletons beneath her selected tunnels. They carry copied Freight Car 7 seals and carefully measured residue. Not enough to confirm the cargo. Enough to keep her digging. At the same time, Salvek orders another 20 officers west. Brannock takes the private message and moves his strongest squad toward the Plague Vault. The director assumes the unknown Necromancer hides in the catacombs. The auditor assumes Salvek's cargo hides beneath the Eastern District. The captain assumes both of them are lying. Every faction now invests separately. Every faction spends more. Every faction hides its movements from the others. The trap does not merely hold. It multiplies. Then the 4th player enters. Magister Adron Pell arrives from the Ossuary Tower under a gold authority banner. He leads the Registry Tribunal, the department responsible for class certification, illegal awakenings, and unlicensed system mutations. His rank plate is A grade. His cane contains a preserved human spine, and his smile looks even less human than 000X. Odrin inspects the yard where the warden falls. He touches the central skull. The remaining grave resonance trembles against his fingers. His eyes brighten. This was not a normal necromantic field. 000X bows slightly. We believe an illegal operator. No. Odrin interrupts him. This is a new system branch. Greed enters the room again. Sharper this time. The magistrate turns toward the lower district. Find the user alive. 000X's expression tightens. The Bureau has jurisdiction over corpse crimes. Odrin smiles. The moment an unregistered class mutation appears, jurisdiction belongs to me. Two predators stare at one another over the same invisible prize. Neither knows the prize is sorting bones beneath their feet. Korrin stands among the porters carrying a basket of broken skulls. Odrin walks past him. The gold authority plate on the magistrate's coat brushes Korrin's shoulder. The cipher Raven, hidden beneath the roof, records the signature instantly. A-grade tribunal access. Tower elevators. Registry vaults. Restricted class archives. The bird sends the copied pattern through the soul link. Korrin does not look up. He keeps walking. Beneath the yard, the newest excavation team reaches a vertical shaft, descending directly toward the tower's restricted foundations. The same level marked as Freight Car 7's destination. The system recognizes a new route hostile territory access available. Security unknown. 160 skeletons pause. The spine guards lower their heads. The relay skulls ignite in sequence. The cipher carrion Raven lands on Korrin's basket, as though it is an ordinary scavenger. No officer notices. Its elite beak taps the copied gold signature into a loose skull. Once, then twice. The skull accepts the authority mark. A perfect imitation. Korrin carries it toward the furnace chute. Above him, 000X prepares a false corpse warehouse. Neris digs beneath the eastern district. Brannick enters the plague vault. Odrin begins hunting an unregistered class mutation. Below them, the ossuary domain spreads another 100 feet toward the tower. The entire city believes it is closing in on the Grave Whisperer. In reality, every search order, every copied seal, and every hidden betrayal opens another door for him. Korrin drops the marked skull into the chute. Deep below, skeletal hands catch it. The tower's first lock clicks open. 3 days after the derailment, Director 000X Rhyme declares victory over an enemy he has never seen. He does it publicly. The Corpse Allocation Bureau seals the central execution square, raises black banners across the lower district, and displays 12 captured skeletons inside silver containment cages. Each unit carries 000X's private ownership mark. At least, that is what everyone sees. Korrin knows better. Those skeletons come from his own workshop. The marks belong to the cipher Raven, and every cage rests directly above a grave resonance relay buried beneath the street. Talk about celebrating inside someone else's trap. Thousands of workers gather behind enforcement barriers. Licensed necromancers occupy the raised platforms. Guild representatives watch from protected balconies while corpse merchants whisper over the sudden rise in bone prices. 000X stands at the center of it all. His dark green coat is freshly pressed. Monster tooth rings cover both hands. Behind him, a crystal projection shows a false map of the western catacombs. Red lines mark supposed escape routes. Gold symbols mark recovered cargo. A massive black circle marks the location where the Bureau claims the Grave Whisperer is trapped. None of it is real. 000X raises one hand. The square goes silent. For 3 days, an illegal necromancer has attempted to destabilize this city's corpse supply. His voice travels through amplified command crystals. He steals state property. He corrupts registered summons. He hides behind frightened workers and abandoned graves. Korrin stands in the porter section with a chain around one wrist. Every worker from the derailment site receives the same treatment. Contamination control. 000X calls it hostages. Anyone with a functioning brain calls it. The director gestures toward the cages. Today, the Bureau proves that no corpse escapes lawful ownership. The 12 skeletons kneel in perfect unison. The crowd reacts immediately. Some cheer. Most stay quiet. Korrin lowers his head like the others. Inside the soul link, The Cipher Carrion Raven watches from the Bureau's highest signal mast. Its eyes burn brighter than before. Thin black feathers of compressed bone now grow between the silver blades along its wings. They did not exist yesterday. Neither did the second pulse inside its core. The system identifies the change but refuses to complete it. Bonded unit evolution conditions partially satisfied. Higher command authority required. Clear enough. The Raven needs a stronger seal. An A-grade seal. Magister Odron Pell wears 110 paces from Salvek. Our Necromancer does not take it. Not yet. Salvek continues. The unknown thief believed rank and law could be ignored. He looks directly toward the chained workers. An F-rank insect may touch a crown, but that does not make him a king. The guild balconies laugh. Korrin remembers every word. So does the Raven. Across the square, Neris Quell does not laugh. She stands beside the evidence platform with one gloved hand pressed against her coat, beneath the fabric. The stolen vertebra from Freight Car 7 pulses toward the east. She knows the western map is false. She knows Salvek's recovered skeletons do not match the original shipment. And judging by the tightness around her eyes, she knows someone is manipulating the Bureau's seals. Still, she says nothing, because the lie gives her time to search for the real cargo. Greed keeps her obedient. For now, Salvek turns toward Magister Odron. As promised, the Bureau has contained the illegal units. Odron rests both hands on his spine cane. Contained, his gold authority plate gleams beneath the execution lamps. Your men recovered 12 disposable frames and lost 23 officers inside a plague vault. The crowd goes quiet again. Salvek's smile tightens. A necessary cost. Of course. Odron steps closer to the cages, then demonstrate control. The director raises his ringed hand. The 12 skeletons stand. He points toward a stone target at the edge of the platform. They charge. Every movement appears synchronized. Every strike lands at the same time. The target explodes. The guild representatives applaud. Salvek turns toward Odron with open satisfaction. There. The magistrate examines the rubble. F-rank construction. Salvek's eyes harden. The units are damaged. The control pattern is not. Odron taps his cane against the platform. One of the skeletons turns its skull toward him. Not because Salvek commands it, because Korrin does. Only slightly. Only enough. Odron notices. Salvek does not. The magistrate walks to the cage and places 2 fingers against the skeleton's forehead. Gold system light spreads across the bone. The copied green seal trembles. For one dangerous second, the false mark begins to peel away. High above, the Raven moves. Silent relay activates. A grave resonance pulse crosses open air and enters the cage through the skeleton's spine. The copied seal stabilizes. Odron's eyes narrow. He applies more pressure. Korrin feels the A-grade authority testing his command thread. Dense. Layered. Self-correcting. Nothing like Salvek's crude private marks. The Raven's second core pulse quickens. Its new feathers lift. Evolution pending flashes through Korrin's vision. The bird wants the seal. Our guy gives one silent order. Wait. The Raven lowers its wings. Odron removes his hand. The signature is genuine. Salvek smiles again. His arrogance returns twice as strong. Then the matter is settled. No. The magistrate looks toward the chained workers. The signature is genuine because someone made it genuine. That lands differently. Neris's face loses color. Bronixile grips his hooked spear near the platform stairs. Salvek turns slowly. You are accusing my bureau of falsifying evidence, Odron smiles. I am accusing someone of being far more talented than your bureau. The insult cuts deep. Salvek steps toward him. This city's dead answer to me. Odron's spine cane strikes the stone once. Every corpse in the square jerks. Human remains inside evidence boxes. Monster skulls hanging from merchant belts. Even the teeth decorating Salvek's coat. All of them turn toward the magistrate. A-grade authority floods the platform. Workers recoil. Licensed necromancers lower their eyes. Odron looks at the director. No. They answer to whoever holds the stronger command. There it is. Peak arrogance meets peak arrogance. Neither man realizes that beneath their feet, an F-rank porter is recording both systems. Korrin's bone ledger analyzes the interaction. 000X authority depends on legal ownership seals. Odran's authority overrides seals by rank. The Grave Whisperer's growing domain ignores both when ownership becomes neutral. 3 systems. 3 weaknesses. 1 future battlefield. 000X forces a laugh. Then perhaps the tribunal should join tomorrow's operation. Odran raises one eyebrow. What operation? The director gestures toward the false western map. Our scouts located the enemy's core chamber. That is a lie 000X invents less than an hour ago. Korrin knows because the Raven watches him order the map altered. 000X plans to lead Odran into the deepest plague vault. Trigger the ancient seals. And let the tribunal take the losses. Then the Bureau will claim whatever survives. Brutal. Predictable. Useful. Odran studies the marked chamber. How convenient. You doubt my scouts, I doubt everyone. Then verify it personally. The director spreads his hands. Unless an A-grade magistrate fears an unregistered sewer necromancer. The square reacts with nervous laughter. Odran's smile disappears. That is enough. I will enter first. 000X's victory becomes visible. Not subtle. Not restrained. He genuinely believes he has manipulated the most dangerous official in Vare Hollow with 1 sentence. Honestly, Korrin almost respects the confidence. Almost. Brannick steps forward. The western chamber is unstable. 000X turns on him. You failed to secure it. My men found false tracks. The director's expression chills. False, too clean. Brannick removes a bone shard from his belt. 3 copied ownership lines run across its surface. The escaped units leave residue in every tunnel except the routes they supposedly travel. Someone places the trail after moving through. 000X takes the shard. For the first time, real doubt appears. Small, sharp, dangerous. Neris watches the exchange without breathing. Odran leans closer. So your core chamber may be another performance. 000X crushes the shard in his hand. One captain's instinct does not invalidate confirmed evidence. Brannick does not bow. 23 officers died following that evidence. And more will die if you hesitate. The director turns toward the crowd and lifts his voice. Captain Brannick Siley will lead the first wave tomorrow. There is the punishment. Not for failure. For doubt. Brannick's jaw tightens beneath his helmet. 000X continues loudly enough for every worker to hear. If the Grave Whisperer exists, the black hooks will drag him into daylight. Then his gaze falls on the chained porter section. And if this infestation began among the F-rank labor crews, every contaminated worker will burn beside him. Korrin looks up, only slightly. 000X sees fear because he expects fear. What he actually sees is measurement, distance to the platform, number of containment crystals, position of the command amplifiers, weight of the cages, timing of the patrol rotation. Our necromancer already has the square memorized. 000X mistakes attention for terror. He walks to the edge of the platform. You there. His finger points directly at Korrin. The guards shove the porter forward. Chains scrape across stone. Korrin stops beneath him. 000X looks down as if inspecting damaged merchandise. You processed the eastern crater. Yes. You reported the first movement. Yes. And now you stand where the thief first entered. My district. Korrin says nothing. The director leans closer. If the Grave Whisperer is hiding behind your rank, tell him this. A monster tooth ring presses against Korrin's forehead. The dead belong to men with power. Porters only carry what powerful men leave behind. The crowd hears every word. Odran looks amused. Neris looks away. Brannick watches Korrin's hands. The Raven records the insult through silent relay. Korrin lowers his eyes. Understood. 000X laughs. Of course you do. He turns away. And that is the exact moment our guy decides how the director will fall. Not when. How. The public display ends at noon. The workers return to the barracks under guard. The captured skeletons move into a sealed warehouse near the western gate. 000X believes they are bait. Odran believes they are evidence. Brannick believes they are fake. Neris believes they contain a clue. All 4 are correct enough to remain trapped. Korrin enters the barracks with the other porters. The chains around his wrist carry a bureau tracking seal. He examines it once. The Raven copies it from the rooftop. Then every skeleton in the underground domain receives the same false signature. 160 active units become 160 contaminated workers on the Bureau's tracking grid. The result appears inside 000X command room. Green points flood the Eastern District, then the drains, then the Western Catacombs. His officers panic. 000X does not. He sees the sudden spread and interprets it as proof that the Grave Whisperer is moving. He orders every available containment wagon deployed, exactly as Korrin expects. The Bureau empties its northern warehouse, then its southern armory, then the emergency vault beneath the allocation yard. Command crystals move west. Soul chains move west. Reserve guards move west. The director is no longer investing in the trap. He is climbing inside it and locking the door behind himself. Neris makes her move before evening. She leaves the Bureau through a private tunnel with 2 corpse appraisers and a sealed extraction case. The stolen vertebra guides her toward the eastern foundations. Korrin allows it. Relay skeletons open one passage and close another. They guide her around the real ossuary domain and toward a prepared chamber containing fragments from Freight Car 7. Enough evidence to convince her. Not enough to satisfy her. Neris finds 3 black vertebrae resting inside an ancient transport cradle. Her eyes widen. One appraiser scans them. Director-level command residue. The second looks toward the tunnel. There may be more. Neris places the bones inside her extraction case. 000X receives nothing. There it is. Complete betrayal. She orders the appraisers to continue deeper while she returns alone. Neither man notices the burial marks beneath their feet. Korrin does. Their future route enters the western system. 2 more pieces move into place. Brannick prepares the Black Hook unit for the morning assault. He checks every seal personally. He rejects 3 containment chains. He replaces 2 necromancers assigned by 000X. Doubt has made him careful. That is a problem, so the Cipher Raven gives him a truth. The bird lands inside an abandoned bell tower, where Brannick inspects the recovered bone shard. It drops a single silver thread onto the table. Freight Car 7 residue. Genuine. Brannick looks up. The Raven is already gone. He examines the thread, then the false western map, then the eastern district. His suspicion shifts again, not toward Korrin, toward Neris. He has seen the same white command residue beneath her glove. By midnight, Brannick begins following the auditor, exactly where the trap needs him. Odron spends the night inside the Registry Tribunal archives. The Raven watches through a ventilation slit while he opens sealed class records from the first excavation era. He searches for grave resonance. He finds nothing. He searches for experience multiplication. Nothing. He searches for bonded skeletal scouts capable of copying authority signatures. 1 damaged file responds. Its title is mostly erased. Only 2 words remain. Sovereign Familiar. The Raven's second core pulse explodes. Black feathers rise across its wings. A circular fracture opens around its silver skull marking, revealing something like a crown seal beneath the bone. The system flashes urgently. Evolution path identified. Cipher Carrion Raven may advance into an authority class familiar after consuming a complete superior command seal. Odron's gold plate glows inches away. The bird leans forward. Its beak opens. Korrin feels the hunger through the soul link. Not hunger for flesh. For rank. For command. For the right to stand above every seal it currently copies. Our necromancer sends 1 silent order. Return. The Raven obeys. Barely. It leaves behind 1 black feather. The feather should fall. Instead, it hangs in the air for several seconds before dissolving into a miniature command circle. Odron turns. He sees the fading mark. His eyes widen. At last. The magistrate looks genuinely excited. Found you. No. Korrin found him. Before dawn, every faction is ready. 000X assembles 6 containment wagons and nearly 100 officers for the western assault. Odron brings 3 tribunal executioners and an A-grade suppression field. Brannick hides a second squad near the eastern tunnels. Neris prepares to move the stolen fragments through an unregistered freight lift. All of them believe tomorrow belongs to them, deep beneath the city. Korrin walks through the ossuary domain. 300 labor skeletons stand inactive inside the walls. Their cores recorded and ready. 160 assault units occupy the corpse railway. 7 relay skulls burn above the main chamber. The warden's burial plates form a sealed command gate. Thousands of additional cores wait inside labeled crypts. Grave marks fill the vault beyond 10,000. The cipher Carrion Raven lands on Korrin's shoulder. A thin, crown-shaped crack glows beneath its skull. Evolution pending. One superior seal required. Our guy stops before a stone control table built from the old shrine altar. 4 bone indicators represent the 4 moving factions. Green for 000X, white for Neris, red for Brannock, gold for Odran. One by one, the indicators slide into position. The green piece enters the western plague vault. The white piece reaches the stolen freight lift. The red piece follows the auditor's private route. The gold piece activates above the false core chamber. Korrin watches without expression. Then something almost laughably small happens. A rusted transport bell inside the abandoned corpse railway rings once. No explosion. No scream. Just one quiet metallic note. The final freight cart has reached its assigned station. Every tunnel is loaded. Every seal is copied. Every enemy is committed. Korrin places one hand on the control altar. The machine is ready. The transport bell rings a second time. Then every lie beneath Vare Hollow becomes real at once. The Western Plague Vault seals first. 000X Rime enters with nearly 100 Black Hook officers, 6 containment wagons, and enough command crystals to suppress a small undead revolt. Behind them, Magister Odran Pell walks beneath a golden tribunal barrier with 3 executioners at his side. The false core chamber waits at the end of the tunnel. Its walls are packed with copied Freetcar 7 residue. Its floor is covered in deliberately broken skeletons. At its center stands a black stone coffin carved with the same territorial language as the fallen ossuary warden. 000X sees it and smiles. There. Brannock is not with him. That should worry the director. It does not. Peak arrogance has a way of silencing useful instincts. Odran approaches the coffin more carefully. His spine cane taps the floor once. Gold authority spreads through the chamber, testing every seal. The copied marks answer. The false skeletons twitch. Even the coffin releases a faint necromantic pulse. Everything looks exactly like the hidden lair of the Grave Whisperer. Because Korrin builds it from genuine stolen components. 000X raises one ringed hand. Open it. 4 Bureau Necromancers move forward. The first attaches a suppression chain. The second drives a control spike into the lid. The third activates a soul lamp. The fourth begins reading the ownership sequence. Deep beneath the Eastern District, Korrin places 2 fingers against the control altar. The green indicator reaches the center of the western map. Committed. He presses down. The black coffin opens. Not upward. Downward. The entire chamber floor splits into 8 sections and collapses beneath 000X men. Officers fall screaming into the forgotten plague reservoir below. Containment wagons overturn. Command crystals shatter against the walls. The golden tribunal barrier catches Odran and his executioners in midair. 000X grabs a hanging chain. Half his officers are not so lucky. They crash into a basin filled with centuries of sealed remains. The impact breaks the oldest burial locks. Purple corpse vapor erupts from the reservoir. Every skeleton below begins moving. The director stares into the pit. This is not the core chamber. Odran floats beside him inside the gold barrier. No. His voice is almost amused. It is a disposal vault. The chamber door slams shut behind them. A grave resonance pulse travels through the western tunnels. The broken skeletons on the floor rise. Not as an army, as hands. Hundreds of skeletal fingers hook around boots, chains, wagon wheels, and fallen weapons. The black hooks begin cutting themselves free. 000X roars an order. Suppress everything. His necromancers activate the command crystals. Nothing happens. The crystals carry bureau ownership signatures. The plague vault recognizes no living owner. Korrin neutralized its territorial seals hours ago. The director's system cannot command what his law does not own. That is the first connection. The same false trail 000X follows from the eastern crater leads him into a chamber where his private seals become completely useless. The trap works because he trusts ownership more than he trusts evidence. Exactly as Korrin plans in the beginning. Across the city, Neris Quell reaches the unregistered freight lift. 2 appraisers lie unconscious behind her. She tells herself they become contaminated. She tells herself no one will question their disappearance. Mostly. She tells herself Salvek deserves to lose the cargo. The extraction case in her hand contains 3 black vertebrae from Freight Car 7. The lift doors open. Inside waits a narrow iron platform descending toward the restricted foundations of the Ossuary Tower. Neris steps inside. The doors close. The lift begins moving. White command residue spreads across the control panel. Then the stolen vertebrae pulse. Not toward the tower. Away from it. Neris looks down. The case locks itself. A copied command seal appears across its surface. Her own seal. The cipher carrion raven mimics it perfectly. The auditor presses her palm against the latch. The case refuses her. Her face changes. First confusion, then suspicion, then panic. The lift passes the tower foundation level and keeps descending. That route does not exist. A relay skull embedded inside the ceiling turns toward her. Its jaw opens. No voice emerges. Only grave resonance. The platform drops faster. Neris slams her command glove against the panel. Nothing answers. The white indicator on Korrin's altar reaches the eastern transfer point. Committed. He presses the second marker. The lift doors open into an underground station filled with skeletons. Not dozens. Hundreds. Rows of reinforced labor frames stand beside corpse railway carts. Tower hounds patrol between the tracks. Spine constructs rise behind the pillars like living walls. Neris does not breathe. The extraction case unlocks. The 3 black vertebrae float from it and join a larger skeletal structure waiting at the center of the station. Only then does she understand. She never discovers Salvek's missing cargo. The cargo allows itself to be discovered. A black feather falls onto the lift floor. The raven watches from the rafters. Neris follows it with wide eyes. You? The bird tilts its crowned skull. It remembers her. It remembers Freight Car 7. And through the soul link, Korrin remembers every altered ledger, every hidden corpse, and every worker she marks for disposal. The station doors close behind her. At the same time, Brannock Sile reaches the eastern service tunnels with 20 hand-picked officers. He follows Neris's private trail. Not Salvek's orders. Not the tribunal map. His own suspicion. That makes him dangerous. It also brings him directly to the 3rd prepared route. The red indicator slides into place. Committed. Korrin waits. Brannock kneels beside a false footprint near the shrine chamber. The mark looks like the claw of the cipher raven. Too obvious. He recognizes that. His hooked spear strikes the opposite wall. Stone cracks. Behind it lies a hidden passage containing a genuine relay bone. The captain pulls it free. Its red enforcement signature matches his own. Copied. His helmet turns slowly toward the darkness. So you can imitate us. A sound answers from the tunnel. Not a voice. 100 skeletal feet taking one step at the same time. Brannock raises his spear. His officers form a defensive ring. Unlike Salvek. The captain does not panic. Unlike Neris. He does not run. He prepares to fight. Korrin expected that too. The 3rd route does not collapse. It opens. Brannock sees the edge of the true ossuary domain. Rail lines. Guard towers built from fused ribs. Command skulls burning along the walls. Rows of dormant skeletons standing inside carved alcoves. An underground empire without a single banner. The captain's grip tightens. How long no answer comes. The relay bone in his hand pulses once. Then every black hook tracking seal on his officers activates. Their positions appear on Salvek's command grid inside the western vault. The director sees 20 red signatures beneath the eastern district. His eyes widen. Brannock. Odrun hears the name. Your captain found something. Salvek's fear becomes anger immediately. He disobeyed orders. He found the real lair. The director looks toward the sealed western door, then toward the plague reservoir filling with moving corpses. His men are trapped. His strongest captain is elsewhere. The tribunal knows. And suddenly, Salvek understands the worst part. The Grave Whisperer never hides in the western catacombs. He uses the bureau to empty the eastern district. The director starts shouting commands. Open a return gate. Signal Brannock. Seize the eastern tunnels before the tribunal moves. Odrun smiles. You are in no position to seize anything. The magistrate raises his gold authority plate. His executioners turn their weapons towards 000X. The Bureau necromancers respond instantly. Containment hooks point toward the tribunal barrier. The two factions stand above a rising plague army while aiming at each other, exactly where greed always leads. Then Korrin presses the gold indicator. Odran's authority mark activates inside the false coffin. The cipher Carrion Raven copied it during the execution square demonstration. A perfect A-grade signature spreads across the vault. Every ancient burial seal recognizes the magistrate as the new owner. The plague skeletons turn toward him. Odran's smile disappears. What did you do? 000X demands. The magistrate looks down. I did nothing. The reservoir erupts. Hundreds of diseased skeletons climb the walls toward the strongest authority they can sense. Odran's gold barrier flashes beneath their weight. The first executioner fires a soul lance. The blast destroys 20 skeletons. 40 more replace them. The second executioner activates a purification field. The plague vapor absorbs it. The third raises a defensive construct. Skeletal hands tear it apart from below. 000X laughs once, a desperate sound. The grave whisperer marked you. Odran turns on him. You brought me here. And you claimed authority because your evidence was fraudulent. The magistrate points his cane at 000X's throat. The director's necromancers lift their hands. The trap no longer needs to force them. They begin destroying one another willingly. Deep below the Eastern District, Korrin watches all four indicators. Green and gold overlap in the Western Vault. White remains trapped in the corpse station. Red stands at the border of the ossuary domain. The machine reaches full pressure. Our necromancer finally moves. He leaves the control altar. 160 assault skeletons rise along the corpse railway. Warden burial plates lock across their chests. Tower hounds climb onto the outer walls. 7 relay skulls ignite. The cipher Carrion Raven flies from Neris's station and crosses the underground network through silent relay. Korrin steps onto the first transport cart. No porter coat. No crooked rank plate. He wears black corpse leather reinforced with thin burial plates. The empty class circle on his wrist now contains thousands of compressed grave marks. The system still calls him an F-rank necromancer. That designation has become a joke. The cart begins moving. Bone wheels scream across the repaired rails. Brannick hears it first. His officers turn toward the tunnel as black light spreads along the tracks. The transport cart emerges from the darkness. Korrin stands at its front. The cipher Carrion Raven lands on his shoulder. Brannick recognizes him immediately. Not from mana. From posture, the same tired porter 000X humiliates in the square now stands before an underground army with absolute control over every bone in sight. The captain's voice becomes low. You were in the crater. Yes. You raised the bird. Yes. You built this. Korrin looks past him toward the Black Hook officers. They carried most of the materials. Brannick almost laughs. Almost. Then his spear rises. 000X ordered every porter burned. Korrin's face remains cold. You still served him. I serve the city. No. Our necromancer steps from the cart. You serve whoever signs your orders. That lands. Brannick attacks. No warning. No speech. The hooked spear crosses the tunnel with enough force to break a tower beast in half. Korrin does not dodge in time. The blade tears through his side and throws him into a relay pillar. Stage 1 begins again. Blood splashes across the bone wall. The Black Hook officers surge forward. Enforcement chains wrap around 3 assault skeletons. Suppression hooks tear 2 tower hounds apart. Brannick's spear returns to his hand through a red command thread. He attacks again. The shaft strikes Korrin's chest. Burial plates crack. Our guy hits the floor. The captain does not celebrate. He knows better, but his officers do. They push deeper into the domain. That is the mistake. Korrin remains on one knee. Blood runs beneath his armor. The system reports fractured ribs, pierced muscle, mana leakage. He ignores all 3. Instead, he watches. Brannick's spear follows a 3-beat return cycle. Strike. Hook. Recall. The enforcement chains require line of sight between officers. Their suppression field moves through the red tracking seals on their wrists. Break the formation and the field weakens. Remove the seals, and the captain loses command. Stage 2. Read the enemy. Brannick attacks a third time. Korrin turns slightly. The spear pierces his shoulder instead of his heart. He catches the shaft with one hand. The captain pulls. Korrin allows himself to be dragged forward. The cipher raven launches from his shoulder. Brannick expects it to attack the command seal. He raises his armored forearm. The bird flies past him. It targets the enforcement officer behind him. Its beak removes the man's red wrist seal in one savage motion. Silent relay activates. Korrin sends grave resonance through the stolen mark. Every Black Hook seal in the tunnel responds. Stage 3. The same skill from the Warden battle returns. Much larger, much colder, far more precise. Grave resonance spreads from one copied enforcement seal to the next. The red command network becomes his. Korrin closes his fist. Every suppression chain unlocks. Every containment hook turns. Every tracking seal reports Brannick's officers as hostile targets. The Black Hooks stare at their own weapons. Then the chains strike. Officers are ripped from formation. Hooks pin armored arms to the walls. Command threads wrap around legs and throats. The entire enforcement system attacks its users. Brannick releases his spear. Too late. Korrin sends a second pulse through the underground domain. 7 relay skulls amplify it. 160 skeletons move at once. They do not charge wildly. They separate squads. Tower hounds break sight lines. Spine guards block retreat routes. Assault frames target weapons and knees. The Black Hook formation collapses in seconds. Brannick punches through the first skeleton. His armored fist crushes the skull. Korrin activates Reclaim Fallen. The broken core remains intact. Grave resonance pulls the fragments together. The skeleton rebuilds behind the captain. Brannick turns. Another frame attacks from the left. He destroys it. It rises again. Then another. And another. The captain finally sees the difference. These are not disposable summons. Inside Korrin's domain, destruction has become temporary. The Black Hooks exhaust themselves, killing enemies that refuse to remain dead. Korrin walks through the chaos. His wound continues bleeding. His expression does not change. Brannick retrieves his spear and drives it into the ground. A red shockwave explodes outward. 20 skeletons shatter. 3 relay lines snap. The captain charges through the opening. He reaches Korrin. Their eyes meet. For the first time, Brannick looks genuinely disturbed. You are not F rank. Korrin grips the spearhead lodged near his ribs. The registry is your system. Black threads cover the weapon. Not mine. He activates grave resonance through the metal. Every skeleton Brannick destroys releases its stored impact into the spear. Dozens of strikes. Dozens of shattered bones. All of that force returns at once. The weapon explodes in the captain's hands. Brannick is thrown across the tunnel. His armored body crashes through 2 pillars and lands beneath a spine guard. The guard lowers one massive hand. It does not crush him. Korrin stops it an inch above his helmet. The surviving Black Hooks freeze. Their own chains hold them against the walls. Their captain cannot stand. Their target commands the entire battlefield. Stage 4. Absorb. Korrin raises one hand. Soul residue from the destroyed enforcement constructs flows out of the tunnel floor. The Black Hooks use bone-based command gear. Every shattered hook contains a minor necromantic core. Every containment chain stores suppression energy. Bone Ledger identifies them all. Our Necromancer absorbs the residue. 37 equipment cores enter the grave vault. His relay network upgrades. Red enforcement threads become a new domain layer. Summon capacity rises beyond 200. The destroyed assault skeletons rebuild with denser joints and blackened marrow. Several low-grade frames advance into veteran grade. The tower hounds gain suppression-resistant cores. Specific, immediate, brutal. Brannick lifts his head. He watches his own command system become part of Korrin's army. That is when fear finally reaches him. Not fear of death, fear of scale. Everything used against this necromancer becomes material. Every defeat strengthens him. Every corpse becomes experience. Every command seal becomes a key. Korrin looks toward the captain. Salvek is trapped beneath the western vault. Brannick says nothing. Odran is with him. The captain's breathing grows heavier. Neris is inside the eastern station. That breaks his silence. She found the cargo. She found what I left for her. Brannock understands. The Western Trail. The execution display. The copied seals. The false evidence. All of it. You led them. Yes. From the derailment. Yes. The captain looks around the ossuary domain. How many dead are under your control? Korrin glances into the darkness behind him. Thousands of inactive skulls turn toward the tunnel. Enough. Above, the Western Plague Vault begins failing. Odran's gold barrier cracks beneath the weight of the skeletons. Salvek loses 3 necromancers. The director's remaining officers abandon formation and claw at the sealed door. They need someone capable of controlling the burial seals. Someone who can neutralize the plague territory. Someone who has already destroyed the ossuary warden. Salvek reaches the same conclusion first. He activates an emergency command crystal. The signal spreads across the lower district. This is Director Salvek Rime. The Bureau requests immediate intervention from the unidentified necromancer known as the Grave Whisperer. His voice echoes through public towers. Workers stop in the streets. Guild representatives look toward the Western District. The man who promises to drag the Grave Whisperer into daylight is now begging that same figure for rescue. He still does not know Korrin's name. Odran grabs the crystal. Unregistered necromancer. Assist the tribunal and receive provisional immunity. Salvek tears it back. Bureau authority supersedes. A plague skeleton bites through his sleeve. He screams. Neris hears the broadcast from inside the corpse station. Her expression turns from terror to calculation. If he saves them, Salvek will blame me. The raven watches her. She looks up at it. Take me to him. The bird remains still. I can open the restricted tower floor. The crowned fracture in its skull glows. That offer matters. The complete superior command seal waits there. The final condition for evolution. Brannock hears the same broadcast through a cracked helmet receiver. He looks at Korrin. They are calling for you. Our necromancer turns toward the corpse railway. A second transport cart arrives. Behind it marches the true assault force. 200 skeletons. Reinforced warden constructs. Relay skulls suspended between bone poles. Tower hounds with iron claws. Veteran frames carrying stolen black hook chains. No longer a hidden workshop. An undead army. Korrin steps onto the cart. The cipher raven returns to his shoulder through silent relay. Brannock forces himself to one knee. What happens to my men? Korrin looks at the trapped officers. They remain alive. Why I need witnesses. That answer chills the tunnel more than a threat. The cart turns toward the western route. Every relay skull ignites. Grave resonance spreads ahead of the army. Opening sealed passages and awakening prepared units along the railway. Above. Salvek begs. Odran threatens. Neris bargains. Brannock watches. And for the first time, all 4 enemies understand the same truth. The Grave Whisperer is not hiding beneath Vair Hollow. He has been building it. Korrin raises one hand. The corpse railway gates open. His undead army advances toward the surface. The Western Plague Vault tears open from below. A corpse railway engine smashes through the reservoir wall, scattering diseased skeletons across the flooded chamber. Black bone carts follow behind it. Reinforced undead pour from both sides before the broken masonry finishes falling. Salvek Rime stares down from a hanging containment chain. Odran Pell floats inside his cracked golden barrier. Both men recognize the figure standing at the front of the engine. The F-rank porter. Korrin steps onto the rail platform, with blood still soaking the armor beneath his coat. The cipher carrion raven rests on his shoulder. Its crown-shaped fracture glows brighter than the vault lamps. Salvek's face empties. You. Korrin looks at the trapped director. Me. No grand reveal. No dramatic explanation. Just one answer that destroys every conclusion Salvek has trusted for the last 3 days. Odran's surprise lasts less than a second. Then greed replaces it. The magistrate lifts his spine cane, an unregistered mutation hiding behind an F-rank plate. Gold authority spreads through the chamber. Alive. His executioners attack. The first fires a compressed soul lance. It tears through the railway engine, pierces 14 assault skeletons, and explodes against the rear wall. The second executioner drives both palms into the air. A massive suppression field descends over Korrin's army. Every undead frame drops to one knee. The third releases 6 white funeral hounds from iron capsules. They hit the platform like living blades. One bites through a tower hound's neck. Another tears a relay skull from its pole. The remaining 4 rush Korrin. Our Necromancer raises one arm. Too slow. The first funeral hound crushes his forearm between its jaws. The second slams into his chest. He flies from the platform and hits the flooded stone below. Purple corpse vapor closes around him. His active skeletons begin falling, one after another. Odran's suppression field is not a simple rank difference. It isolates soul links. Every minion inside the gold barrier becomes separated from grave resonance. Reclaim fallen fails. Silent relay flickers. Even the raven loses balance. The bird falls from Korrin's shoulder and crashes beside him. 000X sees the opening. His fear turns into savage relief. Contain him. The surviving Bureau necromancers throw state ownership chains into the water. Hooks bite into Korrin's armor. Green seals spread across his body. A legal claim attempts to overwrite his class mark. The system reacts violently. External ownership declaration detected. Living target misclassified as corpse asset. Korrin's vision fills with warning lines. His mana locks. His grave vault closes. The director pulls himself onto a broken ledge. You built an impressive sewer kingdom. He wipes blood from his mouth, but an F-rank defect remains an F-rank defect. Odran glances toward him. Do not damage the system core. 000X laughs. He is mine. The magistrate's gold plate flares. You own bones. I own classifications. The 2 authority fields collide over Korrin's body. Green chains tighten. Gold suppression crushes down. His army becomes motionless. His left arm is broken. His ribs are already fractured. The plague reservoir begins filling his lungs with corpse vapor. Stage 1 becomes absolute. Our necromancer receives everything. Odran descends. His boots stop above the black water. The spine cane touches Korrin's forehead. Gold light enters the empty class circle on his wrist. The magistrate's eyes widen. He sees the multiplier. He sees the grave vault. He sees hundreds of recorded skeletal cores and thousands of stored grave marks. For the first time, Odran loses control of his expression. 10,000 times. 000X hears him. The director goes still. Odran presses harder. No wonder. His voice becomes almost reverent. No wonder an insect grows teeth. Korrin looks up through the corpse vapor. The magistrate smiles. You will remain alive while the tribunal removes the system from you. The raven lifts its damaged head. Its crowned fracture pulses. Odran notices. And the familiar, too. The spine cane turns toward the bird. The raven tries to move. The suppression field forces it down. Odran's gold plate is inches from its beak. The superior command seal. The final evolution condition. Korrin does not order the raven to attack. Not yet. He watches. Stage 2 begins inside the pane. The magistrate's suppression field separates soul links through gold lines, descending from his authority plate. Every line returns to the preserved spine inside his cane. The cane is not a weapon. It is a relay. Odran overrides commands by passing authority through the vertebrae of a former tribunal founder. Each override travels from plate to cane. Each pulse takes half a heartbeat. 000X ownership chains function differently. Their legal claim does not come from his body. It comes from the Bureau Registry Vault. Every green seal in the chamber connects to a master ledger beneath the allocation yard. 2 control systems. 2 distant anchors. 1 battlefield. Korrin looks toward the broken reservoir wall. Black water flows into the corpse railway tunnel. Loose bones float with it. Thousands of them. The plague vault is full of ancient remains. The railway is lined with discarded cores. The Eastern District is built on ossuaries. The Bureau yard stores confiscated corpses. The execution square contains 12 copied skeletons above buried relays. Odran isolates active soul links. He does not isolate dead matter. Korrin moves 1 finger beneath the water. A loose tooth vibrates. The gold field does not react. He sends a tiny pulse into it. The tooth strikes a finger bone. The finger bone touches a rib. The rib rolls against a skull. 1 fragment after another carries the vibration out of the reservoir. Not a command. Not yet. A message. The chain reaches the railway. Then the western tunnels. Then the buried relays beneath Vare Hollow. Every bone in the underground network receives one silent instruction. Wait. 000X jumps from the ledge and approaches. He takes the nearest ownership chain from his Necromancer. The director wraps it around Korrin's throat personally. His monster tooth rings scrape across the black armor. The dead belong to men with power. Korrin's eyes do not leave his face. 000X tightens the chain. Porters only carry what powerful men leave behind. The same words. The same smile. This time, the director believes he has proven them. Odran sounds irritated. Remove your claim. 000X looks toward him. You need my registry to transport the subject. I can rewrite the registry. Not before the Bureau recognizes the seizure. The magistrate's executioners turn. The Bureau necromancers raise their hands. Even now, even with the Grave Whisperer chained beneath them, they still fight over ownership. Korrin sends a second vibration through the tooth. Now, grave resonance activates across the entire lower district. Not from his body. From everything. The plague reservoir erupts first. Thousands of loose bones release one shared pulse. The impact destroys the green chains around Korrin. The vibration races through the corpse railway. It reaches the ossuary domain. 7 relay skulls ignite. It reaches the eastern drains. The buried warden plates answer. It reaches the execution square. 12 caged skeletons stand at once. It reaches the bureau warehouses. Every confiscated corpse turns toward the allocation yard. It reaches the worker barracks. Discarded meal bones shake inside bowls. It reaches the tower foundation. Ancient burial pillars awaken beneath the city. Odran's gold field flickers. His eyes widen. That range is impossible. Korrin rises from the water. His broken arm hangs at his side. His lungs burn. His voice remains quiet. You measured a skill. Black light spreads beneath his boots. I built a network. Stage 3 detonates. Every bone in Vare Hollow becomes part of grave resonance. The city itself carries Korrin's command. The suppression field tears open from below. Soul links reconnect. 200 assault skeletons stand. Then 300 inactive frames awaken inside the railway walls. Then hundreds more rise across the ossuary domain. The executioners fire. Their soul lances destroy entire rows. Korrin activates Reclaim Fallen through the citywide network. Shattered cores rebuild instantly. The dead climb back into formation before their fragments hit the floor. Odran slams his spine cane down. Gold authority floods the vault again. For half a heartbeat. The field travels from his plate into the preserved vertebrae. Korrin sees the pause. He closes one hand. Grave resonance strikes the cane at every joint simultaneously. The founder's spine cracks. Odran staggers. The Cipher Carrion Raven launches. The suppression field catches one wing. Black feathers rip free. The bird continues. Odran raises his gold plate. Down. A-grade authority crashes into the raven. It freezes inches from his face. Its entire skeleton trembles. The crowned fracture splits wider. The system flashes superior command seal within consumption range. Evolution may destroy current bonded identity. Korrin feels the warning. The raven may change. Its memory may disappear. Its bond may collapse beneath the higher authority. For the first time, our necromancer hesitates. Not because the unit is useful, not because the upgrade is rare, because this broken bird is the first dead thing that chooses to move beside him. The raven turns one blue flame toward Korrin. It does not wait for permission. It opens its beak. Then it bites through Odran's gold authority plate. The seal explodes inside its skull. Gold light floods every bone feather. The bird screams without a voice. Its body breaks apart in midair. Silver blades scatter. Black crystal fractures. The original rusted registration ring falls toward the water. Korrin catches it. Something inside him changes. Not panic. Not grief. Apricisi. Conscious fury. The coldness in his eyes stops being emptiness. It becomes intent. Odran steps backward. What did it do? The scattered feathers stop falling. Each one becomes a miniature command seal. Hundreds of black circles open around the vault. A new skeleton forms inside them. Larger wings unfold first. Then a narrow body armored in overlapping grave metal feathers. A crown of 7 black bone points grows from the skull. Blue soul fire burns beneath it like a pair of merciless stars. The old registration ring fuses around one leg. Not erased. Remembered. The system announces the evolution bonded unit advanced. Sovereign Carrion Raven. Authority class familiar. Every ownership seal in the chamber goes dark. Every command thread becomes visible. The Raven sees them all. New authority manifests. Seal Dominion. A superior signature no longer needs to be copied. It can be judged. The Sovereign Raven spreads its wings. 000X green seals peel off the bureau skeletons. Odron's gold lines rip free from the executioners. Neris's white marks ignite far beneath the eastern station. Brannock's red tracking grid awakens throughout the tunnels. All 4 authority systems bend toward the bird. Odran raises his cane. The Raven looks at him. One wing moves. Every gold command line snaps. The tribunal executioners collapse. Their artificial cores go dark. The magistrate's barrier disappears. He falls into the plague water. Companion finisher. Decisive. Legendary. Completely merciless. 000X runs. He reaches the broken railway wall and activates an emergency bureau seal. Nothing answers. The Sovereign Raven has already stripped his authority. Korrin steps from the reservoir. His skeletons close around the director. 000X raises both hands. Wait. The word barely sounds human. I can restore your rank. Korrin keeps walking. I can give you the bureau. Closer. I can make every licensed necromancer in Vale Hollow answer to you. Korrin stops in front of him. 000X drops to his knees. The monster tooth rings shake against the stone. You want power. Our necromancer looks at the man who orders workers burned to protect a ledger. Then he repeats the director's own words. The dead belong to men with power. 000X's face lifts with desperate hope. Korrin's eyes remain cold. Porters only carry what powerful men leave behind. The hope disappears. Behind them, Odran drags himself from the water. His gold plate is gone. His spine cane is broken. The A-grade magistrate crawls toward Korrin through corpse vapor. Listen to me. Korrin turns. The tribunal archives contain class evolutions older than the tower. Odran coughs blood. I can teach you how to become something beyond necromancer. The Sovereign Raven lands beside him. Its talons pin the broken cane to the floor. Odran looks at the bird, then at Korrin. You cannot understand what you possess. Our guy remembers the magistrate's words from moments earlier. An insect grows teeth. Odran's face tightens. Korrin kneels until they are level. You were right. The magistrate swallows. Then we can. The insect reached your throat. Odran begins begging after that. Not elegantly. Not like a magistrate. He offers records. Names. Tower access. Political protection. He offers 000X. He offers Neris. He offers every executioner who serves beneath him. Korrin listens until the man runs out of useful information. Then he stands. Across the soul network. Neris feels every white command seal fail. The doors of the eastern station open. She sees the Sovereign Raven's crown reflected inside the extraction case. The auditor immediately understands that her stolen access no longer matters. She sends a message through the station relay. I surrender. Korrin hears her. I can testify against 000X. No answer. I can expose the tribunal. Still nothing. Neris presses both hands against the relay skull. I saved the Eastern workers from immediate arrest. That is almost true. Almost. Korrin finally answers through grave resonance. Recovery personnel will arrive after inventory. The exact words she speaks while living inspectors remain trapped beneath the freight wreck. Neris goes silent. In the eastern tunnel, Brannock hears the same exchange through his damaged helmet. His surviving officers remain chained to the walls. He looks toward the relay bone. My men followed orders. Korrin's reply reaches him. So did you. Brannock lowers his head. The captain does not beg for himself. He asks for the black hooks. Korrin remembers the broken spear in the alley. The quiet threat. Humor can raise a man's rank just high enough to get him killed. Brannock closes his eyes. He remembers too. Back inside the plague vault, the final resistance begins. 000X's hidden command chamber activates beneath the tower. The stolen freight car 7 cargo was never the director's greatest secret. It was only one shipment. Hundreds of sealed compartments open inside the restricted foundation floor. Elite undead cores awaken. Bone giants pull free from iron cradles. Headless knights rise in bureau armor. A skeletal serpent coils around the central tower support. Salvek looks toward the ceiling. His terror becomes confusion. I did not activate them. Odran does not answer. The Sovereign Raven turns toward the tower. A command exists above both green and gold authority. Ancient. Buried. Hungry. The first excavation seal. Someone inside the tower has been watching the entire battle. The foundation splits. An enormous black eye opens beneath the city. The hidden army surges downward. Korrin raises both hands. Stage 4 begins before the final collision. Soul residue from the destroyed tribunal constructs floods the grave vault. 3 execution cores become elite relay anchors. 37 plague skeletons evolve into toxin-bearing veterans. The rebuilt assault frames gain gold-resistant marrow. Summon capacity jumps beyond 500. The citywide grave resonance network stabilizes. The Sovereign Raven absorbs the broken authority fragments and extends Seal Dominion across the Western District. Every fallen enemy strengthens the next line. Every destroyed command becomes another weapon. Korrin looks at the descending elite army, then at Salvek and Odran kneeling behind him. For the first time, they understand that they were never the final power beneath Vale Hollow. They were middlemen. Useful ones. Disposable ones. Our Necromancer steps onto the shattered railway engine. 500 undead turn toward the tower foundation. The Sovereign Raven spreads its wings above him. Korrin's true emotion remains visible for one final second. Not mercy. Not triumph. Controlled rage. They marked living people for the furnace. His voice carries through every bone beneath the city. So now the tower learns what inventory feels like. The undead army charges upward. The black eye beneath the Ossuary Tower opens completely. Every corpse in Vale Hollow stops moving. Korrin's 500 undead freeze halfway through their charge. Plague skeletons lock inside the western vault. Black hook chains fall motionless. Even the sovereign carrion raven hangs in the air with its wings spread and its blue soulfire compressed into 2 narrow points. Then the tower issues a command. All remains are inventory. The words do not enter through sound. They appear inside every ownership seal, every corpse ledger, and every registered necromancer's system at the same time. Salvek collapses. Odran clutches his empty chest where the gold authority plate once rests. Neris screams inside the eastern station. Brannock's surviving officers stare at their wrists as red enforcement marks spread into their veins. The command is older than the Bureau, older than the Tribunal, older than Vale Hollow itself. The entire city's corpse economy descends from this one buried authority. The first excavation system, the original owner, a second command follows. Return stolen assets. The tower foundations split open. Thousands of black chains descend through the underground districts. They do not target only skeletons. They target grave marks, soul links, command relays, even living bodies carrying bone equipment. One chain pierces an assault frame and tears its core free. Another wraps around a relay skull. A third strikes Korrin directly through the chest. Our Necromancer does not move. The chain enters the grave vault. For 1 second, every stored mark becomes visible. Tens of thousands of compressed experience fragments burn inside the darkness. The ancient authority pulls. Nothing comes out. A system warning flashes superior territorial claim detected. User classification pending. Then the tower makes its mistake. It classifies every skeleton Korrin has ever raised as stolen property. Every single one. The system begins counting. 1 core. Then another. Then another. The count races through the bone ledger. Human remains. Goblin frames. Tower beasts. Warden fragments. Plague skeletons. Tribunal constructs. Freight car. 7 cargo. More than 10,000 unique skeletal cores answer Korrin's mark. Each one has already granted experience. Each one carries the 10,000-fold multiplier. And now the tower attempts to process them all through one ownership correction. The grave vault opens. Experience does not leave. It erupts. A black pillar tears through the underground levels and strikes the base of the tower. The ancient chains snap. Korrin's level notifications vanish beneath a wall of overflow warnings. Grave marks multiply faster than the system can display them. The empty class circle on his wrist expands into a crown of interlocking burial rings. The tower tries to classify him again. F-rank Necromancer. The designation fractures. A new title appears beneath it. Grave Sovereign. Not a rank. An authority. Talk about a catastrophic accounting error. Korrin grips the chain inside his chest and pulls. The buried system resists. The black eye widens. Entire tower floors begin descending toward the foundations. Dragged by ancient corpse mechanisms, sealed crypts open. Bone giants pour into the central shaft. Dead guild masters awaken inside ceremonial armor. The original system throws everything it owns at him. Our hero answers with everything it abandoned. Grave resonance surges through the entire city. Discarded bones rise from gutters. Forgotten remains crawl from sealed furnace pits. Unclaimed corpses beneath ruined buildings assemble in the streets. The tower's dead come from expensive crypts and licensed vaults. Korrin's dead come from everywhere else. The difference in quality is massive. The difference in number is worse. The tower's elite knights crash into his first line and tear through dozens of low-grade frames. Bone giants crush entire railway carts. Ancient command seals erase weaker soul links on contact. Korrin receives the losses. He reads the enemy. Every tower unit draws authority from the black eye through the same vertical foundation pillar. Every command travels downward before spreading outward. A single central ledger. A single owner. A single point of failure. The grave sovereign raises both hands. The sovereign raven flies above him. Its sealed dominion reaches through the tower's command network and exposes every ownership thread at once. Korrin activates grave resonance on a scale the original system never anticipates. Every destroyed skeleton releases its final impact into the foundation pillar. Every broken rib transmits force. Every shattered skull carries the pulse farther. The tower destroys thousands of his minions. That only loads the network. One strike becomes 10. 10 become hundreds. Hundreds become one massive return. Korrin closes his fists. The entire underground city hits the foundation pillar at once. The Ossuary Tower jumps. Not shakes. Jumps. Every sealed floor rises several inches before crashing back into place. The black eye splits down the center. Ancient commands fail across Vare Hollow. The bone giants collapse. The dead guild masters lose their borrowed soul fire. The elite knights kneel without receiving an order. The sovereign raven dives into the fractured eye. Black feathers become command circles. Blue soul fire floods the original ledger. Sealed dominion does not copy the first authority. It judges it. The tower's claim is based on ownership. Korrin's authority is based on raising. The tower records the dead as assets. Our necromancer records them as cores that have answered him. One controls paper. The other controls the grave. The result is embarrassingly one-sided. The black eye bursts. A final wave of ancient soul residue pours into Korrin's grave vault. His summon capacity stops displaying a number. Grave resonance permanently anchors itself to the lower city. The system sends one last message. Original ownership authority terminated. Ossuary Tower succession recognized. Every corpse seal in Vare Hollow goes blank. Silence spreads through the foundations. Then the dead turn toward Korrin. All of them. Not because a bureau ring orders them. Not because a tribunal plate suppresses them. Because there is only one necromantic authority left beneath the city. The sovereign raven returns from the broken eye carrying a black crystal no larger than a tooth. The original system core, it drops the fragment into Korrin's hand. Our guy crushes it. No one will inherit that machine. No one will repair it. Above ground. Every registry screen in Vare Hollow changes. Licensed ownership unavailable. Corpse taxation suspended. Bureau command network terminated. The entire structure Salvik builds his life around disappears in 3 lines. The director sees them through a cracked command crystal. His body begins shaking. Korrin returns to the plague vault with the undead army behind him. Salvik crawls toward the broken railway engine. His green coat is soaked with corpse water. 2 monster tooth rings remain on his fingers. The others disappear during the battle. He raises one hand. The bureau can be rebuilt. The grave sovereign stops. Salvik speaks faster. You need someone who understands distribution, guild contracts, corpse valuation, supply routes. Korrin looks at the man's remaining rings. Each one comes from a creature 000X never kills himself. Each one represents power harvested by someone else. The dead belong to men with power. Korrin says, 000X's mouth opens. Porters only carry what powerful men leave behind. The director recognizes his own words. His face collapses. Korrin activates Bone Ledger. Every corpse transaction 000X falsifies appears across the vault walls. Workers sold as contaminated remains. Elite bodies diverted from military recovery. Illegal undead transported through Freight Car 7. Thousands of entries. Thousands of stolen names. The Sovereign Raven strips the final ownership seals from 000X rings. The teeth awaken. 4 monster skulls assemble around him from fragments stored inside the jewelry. Each belongs to a beast whose corpse he illegally claims. 000X tries to command them. His system no longer recognizes him. The creature's close in. Korrin does not make him a skeleton. That would give the director a place inside the new domain. Instead, the stolen cores tear every ownership mark from his body and drag him into the dead registry vault beneath the bureau. The vault seals. 000X becomes its final unprocessed asset. No name. No rank. No owner. The man who turns corpses into inventory disappears inside his own ledger. Neris waits inside the Eastern Corpse Station. She stands perfectly still when Korrin arrives. The extraction case rests at her feet. 3 appraisers lie behind the rail platform. Still alive, but marked with temporary contamination seals. Neris lifts both hands. I prevented their deaths. You marked them for disposal. I changed the order. After the lift trapped you, her jaw tightens. The auditor looks toward the restored railway. I can maintain the records. Korrin continues walking. I know every hidden bureau account. Closer. I can identify every official involved. The Sovereign Raven lands on the extraction case. Neris looks at it and whispers the sentence she believes will save her. I was following procedure. Korrin stops. Recovery personnel will arrive after inventory. Her eyes widen. The same sentence. The words she speaks while injured inspectors remain buried beneath the derailment. Our Necromancer places one hand against the station wall. Bone Ledger opens every record Neris alters. Names disappear. Weights change. Living workers become corpse assets. Rescue orders move beneath inventory counts. The station transforms around her. Iron shelves rise from the floor. Thousands of blank tags hang from chains. Each tag carries the name of someone whose recovery she delays. Neris runs toward the lift. The doors remain closed. She pounds against them. Behind her, the station begins collapsing, one section at a time. Not randomly, in the exact order of her priority system: cargo platform first, evidence shelves second, command records third, living recovery last. Neris screams for help. The Grave Sovereign turns away. The station sends one final automated notice. Recovery personnel will arrive after inventory. The ceiling falls before the count finishes. Brannock remains in the eastern tunnel with his surviving Black Hook officers. The chains no longer restrain them. None attempts to escape. The captain removes his damaged helmet and places it on the ground. Without the armor, he looks older, more tired, still dangerous. My men followed my commands. Korrin faces him. They followed 000X. I gave them. Yes. Brannock glances at the officers behind him. Take me. That was always the plan. The captain nods once. No begging. No bargain. He picks up the broken half of his hooked spear. The red enforcement mark on his wrist is gone. But muscle memory remains. Humor can raise a man's rank just high enough to get him killed. Korrin says. Brannock's expression changes. He remembers the alley, the injured porter, the threat he delivers without thought. Our guy points toward the Black Hook chains scattered across the tunnel. Every hook rises. Brannock turns toward his officers. Do not interfere. For once, the command is his own. The chains wrap around his arms and legs. Not one of his men moves. Korrin sends the captain's enforcement history through grave resonance. Every unrecorded beating, every contaminated worker dragged to a furnace. Every order obeyed because questioning it threatened rank. The chains tighten once for each entry. Brannick remains standing longer than expected. Then the hooks pull in opposite directions. His armor breaks first. The man follows. His officers watch their commander die by the same enforcement tools he places around countless weaker throats. Korrin leaves them alive. Not from mercy. They carry the story. Odran Pell waits inside the ruined registry tribunal. He no longer crawls. He sits against a wall of broken class archives, holding the two halves of his spine cane. Without the gold plate, his system displays nothing. No name, no rank, no authority. He looks almost ordinary. That seems to terrify him more than death. Korrin enters with the sovereign raven. Odran stares at the bird's crown. You destroyed knowledge older than the city. I destroyed an owner. You could have studied it. It tried to classify me. The former magistrate laughs weakly. That is what systems do. Korrin looks across the archive. Thousands of failed awakeners fill its records. Hidden classes dissected. Mutations erased. People reduced to experiments because the tribunal refuses to admit its categories are incomplete. Odran follows his gaze. I can explain those files. You wrote them. I preserved them. You buried them. The magistrate grips the broken cane. An insect grows teeth. Korrin says. Odran shuts his eyes. Our necromancer kneels. You wanted to remove my system while I remained alive. The former magistrate begins shaking. No. The sovereign raven opens its wings. Seal Dominion enters Odran's body. Not to kill him. To extract every classification he ever uses. Rank. Profession. Authority. Identity. The words peel away one by one and fly into the archive shelves. Odran screams as the system forgets him. His memories remain. His awareness remains. But every mechanism in the tower now reads him as undefined material. The same fate he assigns to unregistered awakeners. Korrin touches the broken spine cane. Ray's skeleton activates. The preserved founder's vertebrae assemble around Odran's living body. Forming a narrow archive frame, the bones carry him into the deepest registry shelf. A blank file closes around him. No title appears. No category accepts him. The tribunal's greatest classifier becomes an error no system can retrieve. By morning, the 4 enemies are gone. Salvek rests inside an ownerless inventory vault. Neris remains beneath an unfinished recovery count. Brannick dies inside his own enforcement chains. Odran disappears into an unclassified archive. 4 crimes. 4 endings. No forgiveness. No shared grave. Vare Hollow wakes beneath a different order. The Corpse Allocation Bureau does not reopen. The tribunal elevators remain sealed. Licensed necromancers discover their private ownership marks no longer function. Guilds can still collect monster remains. But no seal can claim a human corpse. Worker furnace tags disappear first. Contamination classifications disappear next. The lower district stops paying taxes on its own dead. Korrin does not hold a ceremony. He does not sit on a throne. He returns to the corpse railway station beneath the eastern district. The repaired tracks now connect every lower ossuary to the tower foundations. Skeleton workers move supplies through the tunnels. Veteran frames guard the city gates. Relay skulls monitor unstable burial zones. The Ossuary Tower still produces monsters. The lower district still needs protection. Power does not erase work. It decides who benefits from it. The Sovereign Raven lands on the old control altar. Its rusted registration ring remains fused around one leg. Korrin places his cracked F-rank plate beside it. The system asks whether he wishes to update his public classification. He declines. F-rank remains on the plate. Grave Sovereign remains beneath the city. That arrangement suits him. Far above. Guild representatives wait for an audience that will never come. Officials prepare speeches no one requests. Former bureau clerks stand beside empty ledgers and wonder who now owns the dead. Korrin sends one final command through grave resonance. Every abandoned corpse in Vare Hollow receives a record. Not a price. A name. When one exists. A location. A cause of death. Nothing more. The Raven watches him. Our necromancer looks toward the endless railway lines disappearing beneath the tower. Salvek believes power creates ownership. Neris believes procedure delays consequence. Brannick believes orders carry guilt away. Odran believes a label defines whatever stands beneath it. All four learn the same rule too late. Korrin lifts the broken shovel he carries from the derailment and rests it against his shoulder. Consequences do not care who signed the ledger. The corpse railway bell rings. Thousands of skeletons begin moving. And beneath a city that once treats every grave as property, the F-rank porter becomes the only authority no one can purchase.